G'day, guys, and welcome back to the Supercoach Swordplay podcast. You're here with the full house of rugby jumpers. That's right. I've got DR, Ross, Spillsy, and myself. We're all here. We're all decked out in our green, black, and white for Season 5, Episode 14 of the podcast. Firstly, I'll just ask how you boys doing. We'll start off with you, DR. Had a good week, mate?
Not bad, mate. Supercoach can absolutely get in the bin, as can the Brisbane Lions in their kicking. So not a great weekend for football and Supercoach in general. But apart from that, things are settling down a little bit. So there's about 4 weeks, I think, till school holidays. So I'm pushing through. Reports are almost done. So there is light at the end of the tunnel, brother.
Awesome, mate. Rossco, the Saints couldn't lose on the weekend. Does that mean that you had a good weekend?
Yeah, sure did. Quite enjoyed my team's performance this week. And, game day squad didn't go too bad either, which was pretty decent. We didn't lose, but I think we've lost Mateus Filippo. Don't know how long for, but that's a pretty big loss. Other than that, very good. We'll throw it over to you, Spillsy, then. How are you going?
Yeah, unreal, mate. How good is it to have the whole gang back together? We had DR and Janath and then myself and Rossco. Now we're all, the whole gang, just back as one, united. We love it. So going to be a really good episode. Can't wait. Weekend was great. It's kind of funny. I feel like this is the least football I've watched in my whole life this year. I don't know why, if I'm just losing interest or I haven't seen any progression from Essendon, but I literally just have not watched that much footy, and it's been a weird one. I don't want to say I've lost passion for it, but I guess playing it as well takes up a lot of time. So, yeah, played on the weekend. It was the most freezing game of football I reckon I've ever played. It didn't stop raining from start to finish. It was probably a top of 8 degrees, and I don't know if I've told you boys, but I actually made my senior debut on the weekend, so a real random one. Got a late call up. I think one of the boys or a couple of the boys were out late out. So on Friday, I didn't know I was playing, and Mum was just coincidentally coming up to visit me. So it all just worked out, found a place. But yeah, one of the more unique debuts you could ever see. It was just the balls of bar of soap, and yeah, it was a very tough conditions, I must say. But it was a good weekend, boys. So yeah, rolled up on Tuesday night in a pretty good mood, that's for sure.
Now, I've actually got
Spillsy. I was going to say, Spillsy, that Bruce from Kilmore has actually sent through some video footage. Video footage.
We're running with it. Are we running with it?
Bruce from Kilmore sent this through. We'll see what transpired here.
Ball!
Ball!
I love to give it here.
Yeah.
Wait, give it.
That was my first touch, boys. That was my first touch of the game. What I will say, I don't like to be glass half empty at times, but what am I doing allowing my opponent that much space? If he marks the ball, like one of the boys, Merles from footy, sort of told me this, and yeah, shout out to him. He'll be watching. Good bloke. But yeah, if he doesn't play on my opponent, they probably score. So I got a little bit fortunate. I was able to cover some ground, but I think there was about at least 15 meters of separation between myself and my opponent. So not sure how that's going to go down with the seniors coaching department. But boys, just happy to be involved. And yeah, it was a fun day nonetheless, even though we got, absolutely belted. I think we played Pyramid Hill. I reckon they kicked 8 goals in one quarter at some point. I think it might have been the second quarter. And yeah, it was cold, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. So, it's my
debut. That's a big one. Hopefully the Gatorade shower is coming for you soon, mate. We'll go with a bit of housekeeping. So this Good Friday appeal, $310. So if you haven't got your bean yet, just like Nicky Martin there in the bottom left corner, make sure to get yours and support a great cause, especially in these wintry months. And it'll look really good with the exact color combo on the rugby jumper as well. Our proud sponsor, Speedy Tees, always do a great job for us. If you haven't got a t-shirt yet, Father's Day, I think, is coming up. Isn't that right, DR, as the father here?
Jeez, yeah, some new jocks and some new socks. Cannot wait.
or a Speedy Tees dad t-shirt. That's the one.
Absolutely.
That's the one. And then the cash cow. Now, the cash cow hasn't gone off in a couple of weeks, but I will say there is a phrase out here that we will be dropping on now. You won't know who it's going to come from, but rest assured the phrase will be dropped this week. So keep your ears peeled and Keep your ears open. Let's go with that. Let's roll with that.
We'll roll with
Shall we?
that.
Keep a
Ross,
lookout.
I'm gonna handball it over to you here for the game day. Now, we both had good weeks in game day. I think I just had the better of you in starter, but you obviously absolutely gunning classic there. Do you want to describe what the new competition that game day squad has to offer?
Yeah, so basically they're giving a bit of a free hit to anyone who maybe started late in the starter or the classic competitions to jump in. And the season leaderboard is going to start from this weekend. So it's contender, going to be bronze cards with the exception of, I believe it's like a maximum of 5 gold or silver cards. Basically, you can't play against what it says there, veteran coaches. So people who enter into the challenger and the champion competitions with all the best diamonds and all the best all-star cards can't play in contender as well. Free to play, of course. And it should just be a good way to hopefully win some prizes. There's some round prizes and some season leaderboard prizes as well. So both of us are pretty keen to get into that. Just a cheeky heads up as well. Keep your eyes peeled. We might be having another cheeky video coming out very shortly, really breaking this down and showing off our teams for the first round of contender this week with Game Day Squad's very own Tom as well. So really keen to get into that. Looking forward to it 100%.
Awesome, mate. Thank you. All right, we'll crack into the Supercoach round reviews. A mixed bag across the board, I will say. DR, we'll start with you on the left there. Do you just want to give a quick summation of what went well or what didn't go so well?
Yeah, quick summation. Nothing went well apart from the VC.
come on,
basically,
mate.
everyone had Tristan Sherry.
I think I
look-
feel 100 points on me.
Mate. Look, in a nutshell, I did go live and had a little bit of a drink last night and had a rant. I just need to get a bit off my chest because I've actually gone down during the buys. And usually the buys are a period for me where I actually tend to go up in the rankings. I tend to plan okay most of the time, but it's just been an absolute failure so far. There are 3 weeks to go, so there is time to close that gap, but it's not looking good at the moment, mate. And my trades are all over the shop this week. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to go into great detail because it's a little bit of carnage at the moment. But Spillsy, you didn't go as well as me this week. Talk to us about your carnage, mate. You got the thumbs down there, but I still see a bit of glass half full type stuff.
Yeah, I got affected a little bit through this buy. I think a lot of us did, but just a plethora of underperforming premos. What's going on with Whitfield? Why is he playing so high up the ground? And why has Lockie Ash just all of a sudden become the biggest stat padder in the game and really affecting Whitfield? So, yeah, I feel like I paid a little bit overs for him. He's 533k with a high break even. Zorko, very underdone. Lindsay, I needed him to perform. I think we all did, but he's the best rookie I've got in the side at the moment. Lockie Neal, 92. I'm sorry, DR, but he's going on the never again list.
Old gold.
Not happening.
Old
He's
gold.
wrong side of 30. I just don't think he's got that output anymore. And a few late outs that really hurt me. So Campbell Gray, another dead rookie coming into their 3rd game. So yeah, that was a big one for me. That really affected me. Bought in Luke Pedler as well and Marcus Bonampalli. So I paid up for the Bont. It seemed really urgent. And I remember this time last week, I was saying how I probably would have rather overlooked the Bont and prepare for Butters this week. And I think it was still, like, in hindsight, a pretty good decision because you want the Bont in more than anything. But you look at value in Supercoach and what Butters is now, and there's no real way to get him. So, yeah, I think listening to a lot of outside noise has affected that, and it's going to be really hard to get him in. So, yeah, I think I'm in a bit of trouble here, boys. I've got no rookies to cash in. It's literally just Lindsay and Gray. I think they're my best rookies at the moment. So, and Pedler. So, yeah, not looking good at all. So, yeah, big drop in the ranks. 2.4k we lost this week. Really hurt. I actually didn't think 1859 would be that bad. I mean, you look at the VC on Cherry. I mean, yeah, it's very rare you get a 150 VC. I know everyone would have done it, but to drop that much in the ranks, definitely very, very disappointing. And yeah, I got belted this week all around. I think, what was it? Yeah, 5 out of 15 league wins. Absolutely terrible. we've had a few good weeks now. This is our first bad one in a month, so yeah, hopefully we can turn it around. But yeah, not ideal, boys. Just a bit of a horror show, to be honest.
Rossco, we'll go to you, mate.
Yeah, look, my team is rallying. They're coming very slowly, but surely, I believe. A good score, top 10% score, cracked 2,000, which I was pretty pleased with. Should have been a bit bigger. I had my captain on Nick Dacos, and Ed Langdon managed to do a pretty good job on him for a 95. I originally had planned to captain Bailey Smith, but then obviously he was a laid out. In hindsight, probably should have gone to Holmes, but what can you do? 8 out of 8 league wins, so I feel like it was still a pretty decent score. And teams getting fairly close to being full premo, and I should have 23 across the next 2 weeks, which hopefully gives me a bit of a leg up as well.
Chase me down before you know it, mate. That's you're in good form. I mean, nearly 5K overall in the ranks.
Yeah,
It's
climbing.
crazy. So, like, I'm gonna say, like, almost Stephen Bradbury stuff. You really coming home a wet sail, mate. So, keep up the form. It's good.
By the end of the year would be a good return, I think.
Mate, the way my cash gens look at the moment, you're a real sniff to chase me down. I mean, I think I'm in a. I don't like to say that, but I think I'm in trouble. I actually reckon I'm in serious trouble. I'm not going to be able to finish my team. I don't reckon. So yeah, keep touching it, Rossco. You'll
keep going, Rossco. You'll be all right, Spillsy. I'll move on to my team very quickly. So scored 21-12, which was pretty sort of head wobbling in a way. Going through
have a wobble,
there.
mate. Come on, have a wobble.
We're not like that. But what I will say is the pods really came through, and I know this is where it sort of feels vindicative, sort of the trade-ins or the holds more so of the last couple of weeks. So Holmesy 152, Tom Green 140. Like I feel like that's a big pod up in the top 1%. And Tom DeConning 146 was a big one out there as well. And Dunk sort of outscoring the other two Brizzy boys, like 120 doesn't happen often, but it's good to sort of have that sort of, when that happens, it's normally a good sort of indicate of where like the top 1% sits there. And then VC Cherry. I mean, everyone VC'd him, so it was probably like in that way. It was very interesting that I feel that I may have benefited from Bailey Smith being a laid out, which is weird to say, but having held Ashcroft that extra week to have a 20th, which was needed because Smith was out, that became 19, and then Lindsay scored 20. So basically Ashcroft was the 18th at the end. So one of the planned trade outs last week was one that I held on to that 1 week longer. Yes, he dropped a tiny bit of cash, but he was all right. End of the day, when Matt Roberts was out, I traded him and Matt Flynn to Bont and Clark, which will help facilitate the upgrades this week, which we'll get into a bit later on. In terms of the top of the pod, someone else can go through this, but same order as last week.
You're
unreal, mate.
His natural habitat.
Every year.
Natural habitat, right up the top.
We'll see.
Taxes and Janath, top of the pod. He's the man, DR, I'm telling you.
All right, DR, this is your time to shine, mate. Your rant. Go on.
Oh, look, I'm going to make it quick. I think it's pretty obvious here. And every team in the competition, all of us four, we've been affected in some way by the bloody sub rule. And just on the weekend, 3 of these blokes, and look, I must admit that with Day Wicks and Carroll, you're not expecting big things. But Xavier Lindsay, come on, mate. You were meant to be at around 340K before it's time to trade you out. But look, you've done an okay job, but the break-even's huge now. I think we need to get rid of him, but it is absolutely killed assist here. You can see a couple of the rants before. We've had Isaac Rankin. Remember Spillsy? He was healthy against Essendon. And Nixie just said, no, just have a rest, Isaac. This is one of our premium players, let alone your Boxuls, who I haven't mentioned, and these type of players. And you see the other Subway thing up the top there, Elijah Hewitt, Nevitt. It's an absolute blight on the game, this sub rule. I cannot stand it, and I'm sick of it. I just want it gone because it's killing me and it's killing my Supercoach team. Boys, do you know anyone out there that's actually a fan of the sub rule? Anyone?
No.
The AFL board, probably.
Yeah. Well, you're right. I reckon that's all it is, Rossco, because I just can't understand it. And the worst thing is, and I think I've said this multiple times before, nothing is worse than a debutant starting as a sub. What a way to
Absolutely.
start your first game in your AFL career in the sub vest. That is absolute tripe, in my opinion. So that's my rant. Spillsy, tell us about your tweet of the week, brother. Hang on, are you giving yourself the kudos here?
No, I'm not.
Is this like Spillsy
It's all
giving it to
mate
himself?
Jeffrey's comment had me in stitches.
All right. Well, I was going to say, I thought you'd just
No,
headbutted
no.
yourself there and giving yourself the tweet of the week here and a little pat on the back here. But
No, because if I didn't put mine there, it wouldn't make any sense. So I had to. It was the tweet of the week is a reply to what I tweeted. I was off Twitter for a good day after I posted this, so I didn't really. So I'm like, Campbell Gray dropped. This really is the worst rookie year I've ever seen. And I think that's a valid statement because it's just been carnage. And then old mate Jeffrey here goes, should be back round 17 when Bolt had to stay home because he's a criminal. I woke up to that and I don't know why, but I just thought that was the funniest thing. Like, surely. So,
That's classic.
Noel's on curfew. Hopefully those curfew games bring old mate Gray back into the side. But yeah, not my tweet. That made tweet of the week. Would never do that. But obviously it wouldn't make any sense if I didn't include that. But yeah, that reply, absolute pisser. So yeah, kudos to you, Jeffrey. I love your form, mate.
Very nice, Spillsy. Well done, Jeffrey.
I think that's a perfect segue into the medical room because as a Grey owner, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we'll go straight down there.
Oh, what's happened? What's happened?
Oh no,
he did his knee in the VFL. He has a he has a PCL injury.
I'm done. I'm done with this game.
Spillsy's
there he is.
I'm done.
Campbell the immediate diagnosis.
Don't, jeez. Stop it.
I think I'm going to step away. I think I'm stepping away here. Like, what? How could it get worse? This season is
so the pros. So this is what this in the order of the events that happened. Adam Uze comes out and says that Campbell Gray can play either defense or forward. Bolter comes back in. Gray will go forward. Bolter's free to play. Gray gets dropped. Gray goes into the VFL. Does a knee. And now we don't even know when he's going to be back playing VFL, let alone AFL. It's cooked.
What happens when Richmond play a night game or a twilight game? Is Noel Bolter allegedly allowed to play the first half? But then who comes in the second half? It's not Campbell Gray.
They have another player in the VFL that could replace Bolter. That's
who?
Not Campbell Gray.
Look at their injuries.
Caleb Smith will play.
Why am I just finding this out now? I didn't know this. How long has this been a thing for?
Saturday, yeah.
I had no idea.
Oh, wow. Spillsy, you poor bugger.
Spillsy. Well, it wouldn't have changed anything anyway, Spillsy. It's all right. Look, we'll go through the rest of it. We'll go through them very quickly. I don't think there's too many relevant ones this week, but this isn't an injury. James Peatlingham, round 16. I know a lot of new Rankin owners have been a bit frustrated with his output lately, playing a lot more forward with Berry, especially in the side. Perhaps Peatling being out for a week could mean that Rankin goes back into the guts a little bit, especially if they don't call up young Sid Draper, who's been shafted really by Matty Nick. But you can't really blame the team that's like third. That's like third on the ladder. So that if they were in the bottom 8, sure, but they're performing well. So look, we're just sulky super coaches out here. Nothing new at Brizzy. Kitty and Coleman, we mentioned last week, 4 weeks there. Lockie Cowan still a week to 2 weeks. I will say, at the game on Sunday night, Matty Carroll, no right foot. He could get dropped, even without Cowan coming back in, and we just do a reshuffle because he looked horrendous. But young players, it happens to the best of them. We'll see what unfolds in that way. But perhaps yes, mate.
Before you move on, Chera, was that just a cramp when we saw him went down?
Well, he's not on the injury list. Harry Mackay wasn't on the injury list last week, but he had a knee. It's an interesting one. I think he trained today if we had training because there's no mention of him here. It's not concussion. Yep. He said he was cramped, walking fine after the game. We'll see. But he should.
I don't think Harry Mackay is actually injured.
Why is that? Because
who did you play?
Essendon. Well, they played last year. They did play last year.
They have?
They have played once. They played once. Okay. Saad El Howley is 4 weeks away. Now, the big one. Back down here. Mason Redmond, 3 weeks. Zach Reed, 4 weeks. Jordan Ridley, 3 weeks. Ben Mackay TBC. The reason why I say this is because one of your most popular rookies on the bubble, Zach Johnson, looked very good on Sunday Night Live. But when we get to you, Rossco, talking about the rookies, I want a bit of a deep dive on him, okay?
We'll get into
And
it.
we'll talk about him a fair bit. At
Nice.
Freo, nothing sort of new. Brandon Walker's a week away. I know that's not really that interesting, but it may just affect the way that defensive structure's sort of being played around a little bit. At Geelong, nothing except Bailey Smith hamstring tightness is a test. They said he should just miss last week. Fingers crossed he's back this week and ready to go before, and that they don't hold him out till the bye, for instance, which is still a couple of weeks away there. At the Giants, nothing in particular, apart from perhaps Kieran Briggs, 2 weeks away for those. Nick Madden sort of plays people into Nick Madden. GWS have their bye in 2 weeks. So what that probably means is Madden will probably get the next 2 weeks, and then we'll see how it sort of goes post-bye. It's a bit sucky there because obviously you don't get to see before Madden's bubble game whether or not Briggs is back yet, which is the tough part there. I know some Toby Green owners out there. He's a test with that glute injury.
Crap.
James Sisley's a week away. Nothing at Melbourne except Jack Viney. North, Charlie Comben, 2 to 3 is the new one there. Jason Horn-Francis is off the injury list. And if we just go down very quickly to the Saints, so is Jack McRae. So both those forward primos who we sort of penciled in to be top 6 at the start of the season, off the injury list, going into round 14. But Mateus Philippo, as he mentioned, Ross, is the one with the calf. No timeline as of yet. And he's been said plantaris muscle to fully recover. So it's a bit of an annoying one. He's just had a really wretched run of injuries this season. Just so unfortunate. Josh Smiley's 2 to 4 weeks away. Is it almost to the point, boys, where you just like put the cue in the rack and hope that he just comes in as a 123k rookie next year?
I said that like 2 weeks ago, I reckon. I'm like, you almost want him not to play.
Yeah.
Like, we'll be done by then. But yeah, we need rookies. Shit timing.
Interesting one here. Errol Goulden 1 to 2 weeks. And then Top Papley 1 to 2 weeks. So the Caden Cleary, I'm not sure he played on the weekend.
He didn't. No, he didn't.
He was already dropped, so that's inconsequential. But Errol Goulden 1 to 2 weeks away there.
Hey, Janath.
Yes.
Sorry, if you just scroll back up for me.
Yes.
Is it true that Peter Adams doesn't even know what's wrong with him?
I didn't even realise that.
He's got a TBC injury.
Oh, don't put him in
the handball of DR. What's his diagnosis? Come on.
Oh,
go on.
Peanutitis, mate. Peanutitis.
Peanutitis.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what
Anaphylaxis and he's a peanut. So
he's 20 cans in a slab, boys. That's what he is. 20 cans in a slab.
That's more civil than I thought you'd say, DR, but we'll roll with it. Matty Roberts is an illness. He should return. And then the big one at the Doggies is Sam Darcy's a test to play and he should get up this week. So that's really good news.
That's ridiculous.
Isn't it?
Why is that?
We've had 4 or 5 players now come back against us. Always happens. The first time we played him, it was the Bonds first
got
game
injured
of the year.
against
We
you
played
as well.
Port in Adelaide and Butters came back for the season. Tom Lynch made his season debut when we played the Tigers. What's going on?
He might actually hit his break even here.
Oh,
you never know.
Like 190, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like 197.
All right, Rossco. Handball it over to you, mate, for the rookie data dump.
Give us good news, Rossco.
I think we've got 2. Actually, no, I'll go with 4 sort of key options this week. First of all, in defense, we've got Zach Johnson from Essendon, pictured there, 113.5, break even to minus 65, averaging 66, but I believe he scored in the 80s. I think he's one that we can probably jump on. We've also got Hugh Jackson, 119K with a minus 10 break even, but he's only averaging 40.5. There's a little bit of a query about his job security. I don't know what you boys think. I think his first score was better than his second. I'm not sure whether he's one that we definitely could be bringing in, but he is on the bubble. Now, Tyrell Dewar is one that sort of hurts a little bit because I was speaking with Janath last week. I did my trades and Tyrell Dewar came in, but then Bailey Smith came out on Saturday Ted Closey came into the side at 103,000, and I went, I'll get Ted Closey. Dewar, minus 37 break even now, scored 90 last week and 176k mid forward. He's playing the Ryan Marich role at the Eagles, and Ryan Marich is sort of stuck up on the wing. Do you think that's one that we could go for?
What's he priced at, man?
176k for Dewar.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking with some West Coast fans,
It's mini coaches him. Like it's like Hall, Gross, Allen. And did you guys hear that he actually apologized for how he handled the Bo Allen situation? He said if he had his time back, it's probably not fair to put him on at that stage of the game. But like any West Coast rookies, I'm so hesitant of. Even look what happened with Marrick. We thought we had this great potential forward line keeper. All of a sudden he's on a wing again. So that's the main thing that concerns me, not necessarily his talent and potential in the role. It's like, does he keep it? That's my main concern. Don't know if you guys feel any differently or you hold more confidence than I do. It's
the Tom McCarthy factor as well, because when you pick a player number one in the mid-season draft, you're probably going to play him at some point. And he played well. This is where, when I was talking with some West Coast fans, they feel like Dewar is like filling in for McCarthy inevitably to take that role. And so it's a tough one at that elevated price to go there. But it could work. It could just work. At the same time, at this point in the season, like a Dewar, if he doesn't have the role, you pay up 60k more than a Jackson, that may get dropped. But he had a sort of midfield. He wasn't exactly playing in the CBA, so he had a midfield role there. So the role is there for Jackson. Sorry, I keep getting mixed up with Hugh Jackman for whatever reason. But so it's just something to keep in mind. But if I was to rank the three, I'd be going Zach Johnson, Hugh Jackson, and then Dewar. But who's the other option you have, Rossco, as well?
We got Ted Closey. Now he's going to get another price rise before his buy. Or they're not on the buy this week, are they?
Nah, 16.
No, they are. 16. So he's only 120,000 with a -7 break even, but he scored 70 in a full game. The only issue is if Bailey Smith comes back in, does he get demoted back to the sub? Not really sure.
It's now the Chris Scott factor, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like we just talked about Mini. Is Chris Scott any better? Oh, I don't know. The sub risk is just so real for me. It just seems... It seems so risky, doesn't it? But I suppose what rookies are we really confident on that we're jumping on these days that aren't a sub risk? I don't think they really exist, do they? Maybe we just can't be as picky as what we usually can be or have been afforded to in previous seasons.
Yeah, I think probably Zach Johnson's probably the main one who's not going to be a sub risk or maybe a job security risk at the moment. We've also got Madden from GWS, who we talked about before. But he's not on the bubble. Briggs is 2 weeks away and they have a bye. So we don't really get to see his full potential. We've also got Will Hayes from Collingwood, who has scored back-to-back 40s on the bubble next round because they have the bye, but his job security is poor. His scoring is not great. Sam Butler and Max Ramsden from the Hawks, they both scored 55, priced at 127. No bubble until round 16. They play this week, but then they have the bye in round 15. So they're probably one to avoid for now. Then we also had some debutants. We had Luell, Ty Gallup, Ryan Gardner. Leo Lombard's played 2 games, been subbed off in both. And Fantasia, probably rule them out. Dan Butler's the one that's enticing. He scored an 86, but I'm saying he's a small forward, big trap at 216k. Avoid him. And then the last one's sort of Hudson O'Keefe. I don't know, Janath. I thought he was pretty solid, but I just don't think...
It looked good.
It's going to translate over to Supercoach super well consistently.
Job security issues as well with Harry to come back in.
So I think if we had to sum it up, I'd probably go with Zach Johnson. He's probably the one that you want to get if you have to choose one. Hugh Jackson probably second, and then, I don't know, take your pick depending on what you like, whether it's position, whether it's backing their role or backing their job security. That's sort of up to you, I reckon.
I think it's Johnson and Daylight, to be quite honest. I think it's so easy. Johnson's such an easy pick.
I wouldn't go anyone else, honestly.
Such an easy pick. Yeah, when you get to your to your Hugh Jackmans and these sort of fellas, it's just so dicey. It's heads or
It's what we've
tails.
seen with the other
Can't do it.
rookies. I feel like you've just backed who you think's got you got more confidence in. The ones I don't have half confidence in, I'm not going anywhere near because it's so bad. There's never been a season this bad for rookies. It's got to be the worst. DR, you played the game for a long time. Is there
It's
a
shocking.
season where
honestly
has it ever been this bad for rookies?
I don't think it has, Spills. I was talking about it last night, mate. I reckon this is the worst. And I think maybe something that maybe pushes a rookie over the line these days, maybe DPP. If I've got DPP, I think that could be the real decision maker between two rookies you're 50-50 on, because at least it gives you the flexibility if it doesn't work out. There's nothing worse than having like that forward-only rookie, that mid-only rookie that's just dead like your husband. You can't get rid of him. A little bit easier in the midfield with the 3 slots there, but someone like a Simpson, for example, in your forward line, just sitting there doing nothing, super frustrating. At least if you had DPP, like a Day Wicks even type, who's not doing much, but you can move him around a little bit more. So that's the only other thing I'd sort of add to the conversation is maybe look for DPP when you can.
Awesome. Now, sounds good. Thanks, Rossco, for that. We'll now go over to what we like to sort of think about as our targets. We've got the tier list back. I'm just going to bring it up very quickly. It's a bit more condensed this week because we only have 2 teams that are coming off the bye, and the Freo boys and the Saints boys. Now, Rossco, I need you to have zero bias for these Saints, okay? But
That's
I don't
fine.
know how easier said than done that is. But let's start off from the top left corner. This has the bottom left here. This hasn't been done intentionally, but Andy B, someone that I think we all own, and we
I don't have it.
asked Rossco, okay. But all right, well, this is probably good for you then, mate. Where do you see Andy Brayshaw as an option? So again, we have must-have. Those are the kind of players at the end of the season. If you don't own him in the finals, you're like, oh, I'm really scared. Top 6 to 8 options, slightly lower, sort of like that top 8 to top 15 sort of thing. If they're ruck, maybe like the 4th to 5th ruck. Better options available, and then the pass. Where would you put Andy Brayshaw, mate?
I think Brayshaw's probably a must-have. Like, I think he's the upper echelon of midfielders.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I reckon he's M3 behind Butters and Bonds pretty comfortably. He's he's a jet.
See, I'm an owner. I'm not as strong. I'm an owner and not as strong. I'm
say the
probably
same
more
thing.
top 6 to 8.
Yeah.
I
He's been good. I've owned him for a while too, but I don't know.
Must have is a very, very small.
But 6 to 8 is stiff because he's so much better than that. In my opinion.
But it's like top 6 to 8, but he's
8.
not a must-have. He's like so close being must-have, but I feel like if you didn't own him, your whole week won't be ruined by him, sort of thing.
I don't know. I feel like he'd be pretty bad antipod. I don't think there'd be many sides outside the top 1% or inside the top 1% that don't own him. I'd be very surprised.
All right.
I don't know. I just reckon he's so consistent, 120s every week. The ceiling games are gone, but I don't know. I'm with you, Rossco. I'm with you.
He's an absolute ripper. I just wouldn't have him alongside probably your Sherry type picks, but absolute full respect to him, Spills. I'm an owner. I started with the man. So, no, it's hard to disagree with this, Spillsy and Rossco.
Yeah. Well, with Brayshaw, he's 70% owned in the top 1%. And you say he's lost the ceiling, but when we talk about captains this week, playing North at Optus Stadium, his scores this year at Optus Stadium have been 106, 131, 135, 157, 154, and a tag 96. Playing North.
That's must-have.
Must-have. Get him in. Don't worry about
Damn, I didn't have him in my loop.
All right, we'll give him must-have. We'll give him must-have.
You can't go wrong with either. I think like bottom of must-have, top of like top 6 to 8. Like anywhere.
We'll give it to you, Spillsy.
We'll give it
to you, mate.
Jordan Clark, I feel, is the perfect top 6 to 8. Like, he's like, this is he epitomizes top 6 to 8. Yeah.
The definition.
If you looked up top 6 to 8 on Google, it would have Jordan Clark.
Grok, who's top 6 to 8? Jordan Clark.
Luke
any
Jackson.
context.
Luke Jackson. Now, this is a very polarized one. I'm very interested to hear what you guys think. Because one factor stops him from being a must-have. IMO.
Yeah, I think it's 2.
What's the second one?
His price.
His price irrelevant. Because, I mean, Bont and Cherry, we say the must-haves. We don't really care about their price.
Do you know
If
what?
Can I make a
almost-
third one as
Darcy-
well?
Yeah.
I want to make
What's
a
that?
third one.
What's
I want
that?
to say bigger fish to fry. So how can you bring him in? Have you got Bont? How, are you going to get Butters? Nas is
Yeah.
at 507K. You can't seriously suggest you've got all these guys already. I feel like he's a real luxury, like a bit of a pod.
Mm.
And Darcy's not too far.
Well, that's
I
the
don't know.
issue, right? I've been saying no to Jackson because Shrek's coming back. Is he ever going to come back properly? Like, this is the thing. We could be saying the same thing about Trek for the next 2 months. And by then, Dog is averaging 125 or something. It's slightly ridiculous, but I'd love to put him lower rung in their line. I'd love to, but with his performance so far, that'd be way too disrespectful, I think. So I think it's just top 6 to 8 for
I
me.
feel like
He
he's
came
top
back.
6 to 8.
Darcy came back, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like he's
You guys
top
feel-
6
you
to
guys
8, but he's also like under better options available. It sounds weird to have those two in a combination.
No.
Well,
Darcy
there is,
came
like,
back and
I
Jackson
think
was
Bont
playing
and
mid.
Butters are like better options, Nas, like for their price. Like, I just feel like he's a
Yeah.
real luxury trading.
I think we're
He's a
talking in
luxury
their
trader.
mind, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luke Jackson had 92% CBAs in a game that Sean Darcy had 29% CBA. So Jackson was playing as a centre bounce midfielder when Darcy was rucking against Gold Coast. Like, that's the kind of unicorn he is. He is the perfect player that I understand why he's not a must-have. And you raise a great point there that he's a luxury to have because a lot of coaches don't start him and they never necessarily got him in at a good price. But he's the perfect player to have as a point of difference. That's still a top 6 to 8 option. I don't think he's a better option, but there's no better options available than Jackson. But I don't think he's a must-have because of what you're saying. It's just hard to get to.
Yeah, it's unique.
Yeah.
He's so good, though. It's hard to argue.
He's a
Top 6
unicorn.
to 8.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a freak.
Sarong.
Caleb's the Slong.
I've got a bone to pick with this man. He sits right in the middle for me.
Slightly lower.
Yeah, he hasn't done enough to show that he's top 6 to 8 this season. But he's also decent enough where you'd still prefer to have him over your 450K pod types. You know, you don't want to have a Josh Kelly or a Kenny, or just like these kinds of players in your midfield over Sarong. But if you're looking to trade in someone at value, you're probably not looking at Sarong as your number 1 pick there. So I think I'm going to have him slightly lower in the line.
Spillsy.
Oh, is that too generous, Rossco? Like, it's just 100 every week,
mate. You want to whack a few blokes here. You
want-
love Brayshaw, but then you want to give a few whacks here. But explain.
I feel like you want more, don't you? Like, you get low hundreds every week. Too much inside, no outside game. A lot of throwing on the boot. Like, I don't know. I reckon he's not. What happened to him? He's very susceptible to tags as well. I don't know.
Well, do you know the funny thing is
Hasn't
from,
been
I
his
think
year.
it was from round 10 last year, from round 10 till the end of last year, he only had one score above 125, I think it was. Lots of his ceiling games were right at the start of the year. So he just went bang, bang, bang. And maybe he exceeded, well, he definitely exceeded expectations. But if you look after that from round 10 last year, he really hasn't done a lot Supercoach wise. He's been okay, but we've called the low tongue a Sarong this year. So I can see where you're going, Spillsy. I'd probably still respect him enough to have slightly lower rung.
Oh, yeah, for sure. He deserves it.
There are better options. You're right. You're absolutely right.
You have to consider, though, his floor score this year is only 80. He hasn't gone worse than 80.
Well,
but then again, he's also ranked 36 for average. And for him, that's pretty. So
we're not looking at this Spillsy as sort of what's happened. We're sort of forecasting 7 of the last 11 games at Optus Stadium, including North this week, Essendon next week, Saints the following week, West Coast on the run home. Like, there's some really good matchups there that he can capitalize, all at Optus Stadium as well. And that's one of the real sort of allures of having a guy like Sarong. I don't think you can put him better options available. I feel
No,
like
it's too stiff. I just sort of
he's-
like trying to see, like, you know,
Yeah.
try to challenge the argument here.
535.
It is tilting to own him.
Yeah,
Mm.
535k.
I was going to say he's at a good price.
It's
You
a
got to
good
give
price
that.
for him. Post buy,
Yeah.
off the buy. When we were doing our projections at the start of the year, I think we all had him as a top 4 mid. I don't think there's enough has happened for him to go from top 4 to not being a top 8 to not being a top 15. Like, he's a top 15 player, mid, that is, at least. But we'll move on to Naz. Now, Naz is a very polarized one because when you think about must-have, everything's relative, right? You've got must-have in terms of Bont and Gorn because you go into Supercoach finals and you're like, geez, I may be in trouble because these guys can genuinely win the other team a matchup. Now, Naz probably doesn't have that capability, but at 507k, that's where the definition of must-have becomes very loose. So do you guys see him as a must-have or a top 6 to 8 option?
Well, I'm currently, and we'll get to my trade soon, but my current thoughts, I'm actually prioritizing him over Zach Butters. I don't know if that's a really silly thing to be doing, but what Naz has produced this year at the price, I just think it's an absolute gift. So he's got a break even of 74, and I really like his run as well. So his scores so far this year, 96, 113, 110, 123, 133, 99, 111, 97, 103, that 63 against West Coast and reasons for that. Then the 126 and 100 against the D's. Like, where's the failures there? I'm going to take that West Coast game out because that was injury affected. The floor is a mid-90 as a floor, and I just really, really like that. And he does play to start the Supercoach final series in rounds 21 and 22, North Richmond, then it's Essendon and the Giants. So I just think Mr. Consistent, they really want the football in his hands. Who knows where he's going to be playing his football next year, but he'll be wanting to put his best foot forward, and the Saints will want to be making him very, very happy. Sorry, Rossco, I forgot that you're a Saints supporter, mate. I'm hoping that he stays, and I think that he will. But, look, I'm going to say top 6 to 8 because I think must-have is reserved for a few players, but at the price, I think it's very, very hard to pass him up. I find it that hard that I'm even thinking of not getting Butters in. And Spillsy, if I had that boost like I did a couple of years ago I didn't use, I'll be able to get Butters in this week as well. But I do not have it, son. It's killing me. What do you think, Spillsy, about Naz? What do you reckon, mate? Give us the spill.
I think he's close to must-have at his price, but it's frustrating because I can't get him. So this is where I really wish that I wish I didn't grab Bont last week so I could open the door for a Butters or a Naz. So it's really frustrating. I'm tempted to actually sideways trade Whitfield or Zorko or someone to him. That is ridiculously stupid, but I can't say I'm not thinking about it. I mean, he's so good. That floor is amazing. I reckon knocking on the door must have. Definitely top 6, I think, from here on.
Minimum.
As consistent as a day is long. You just can't go wrong with it. It's a funny one. There's a lot of speculation whether he does leave. I didn't like the comments from Caro about him saying that he didn't want to go to Adelaide because of Texas 2021 racism comments, but they literally follow each other on Instagram. So I don't know what that fuss is about. So that's a weird one in itself. But yeah, I really want him, boys. He's so good. Can't afford.
Rossco, you
Rossco.
settle it then, mate. Must
Done,
have a
Rossco.
top 6 to 8.
What do you reckon?
He's a top 6 to 8 for Supercoach. Must have in game day squad, and he's the best halfback in the league.
Oh, there you go.
Bang, bang, bang. That's how we get it done around here. Nice and efficient, Rossco.
And I think he's probably the best kick as well, Roscoe, just to add to that. I don't know many players that
If
can
he
hit a target better
leaves,
than
I'm
he can.
cancelling my membership. That's how far I'm willing to go.
Do you know
And
what?
hang on, but if TDK leaves, Janath, are you cancelling yours and then you'll renew yours, Rossco, when you get TDK?
I'm renewing mine so that we can pay for it. Nazai Wangani Malera. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, Janath.
You know what? If I had to sum up the
no.
Saints in one off season, if they lose Naz and sign TDK, that is the Saints epitomized to a T. Like, go after a bird in the hand is worth 2 in a bush. They go after TDK when they have a good ruckman and they lose their best player. Like, come on. That cannot happen.
Yeah.
That
No.
cannot happen. Come on, Sauce.
You know what, Janath? I'll do you a little bet right here. All right.
What's that?
If we keep Naz, but we also sign De Koning, I will buy a 3-game Carlton membership in 2026.
Sure.
Love it.
Sure.
Love it.
Do you know,
Love it.
there is some forbidden footage out there of Ross singing the Carlton theme song. If TDK signs with the Saints, that is making a run on the potty.
That's coming.
There we go. There we go.
We don't do enough bets on this podcast. I feel like we need to be more like Richmond does footy.
Yeah.
Just a few cheeky bets here and there. I rate it, boys.
Richmond
Good luck
does
to you.
footy. Jeez. Jack McRae.
What a
Jackson
tangent.
McRae.
It's tricky.
really hard.
I think I'll put him there.
I think he fits here.
Yeah. I
Ooh,
think he fits
really?
there.
Is he a
Coming
top
off the
6 to
punctured
8?
lung, we just don't know.
Yeah.
Automatically, I'll
disrespecting
think
him?
in top 6 to 8. But
Yeah.
yeah, the punctured lung coming back from that, you need to take into account. Or, yeah, slightly disrespectful, I think. But it's
We
hard to
can
argue.
put him at the front. We can put him at
Yeah,
the front here.
put him at the front. Yeah,
The-
I like that. I'll take that.
2 months ago, he was probably a must-have, and that's how quickly
Yeah.
Supercoach can change. And it wouldn't surprise anyone if he comes down and scores 130, and he goes at he's straight away a top 6 to 8 option again. Like that's
Yep.
It's just really hard to get a gauge on a play straight after the lung. I'm a bit concerned about that. Spillsy, do you agree with that?
Yeah, it's too much uncertainty. I mean, I feel like top 6 to 8's really fair for him, but just we don't know. We're yet to see how he goes when he comes back in the side. So, and because we got Horny man coming back very soon, I just
This
feel
week.
like there almost better options available. We can't do him that dirty. So yeah, slightly lower seems pretty fair to me, I reckon.
Now, what if I was to tell you that this next player's last 6 scores are 107, 117, 111, 92, 131, 117, priced the exact same as Caleb Sarong? Jack
I'd
Steele.
say bait. It's bait.
I'd tell you, I would not care.
Pass.
I would not care, Janet.
Pass.
You could tell me you scored a pair of 170s, mate. I'll tell you, I'll
Okay.
trade him in. And in the third quarter, I'll watch the warm-up and he'll have strapping on his knee or something, mate. So I am 150% a pass on Jack Steele. I'm never going to select this man in my side ever again. You've got a St Kilda man here who's even made up his own sign, especially
Yeah.
for Jack Steele with
That's
big
extraordinary
PAWS in
stuff, yeah.
capitals. I think you've got out. Spills, are you with us, mate? Are you with Rossco and I, or?
Oh, he's such bait. I mean, if you want to bite it, go for it. I bid it a few years ago and it wasn't good. So yeah, good luck to you if you go there. But yeah, hard pass for me, boys. Nowhere near
Put him there.
the
I was
Sorry,
going to put
Ross.
him in better options available, but I've been
Sorry,
outnumbered.
Ross,
He's-
You're outvoted
he's gone
3-1,
past.
Janath. Yeah, sorry, mate. You're
You
outvoted.
got to be
Yeah,
realistic in this game. Like, are you going there? I mean, wouldn't
Nah.
matter what he's. I mean, he'd have to be like coming off injury at 300k, like low break even to go there. But I mean,
There
no.
was a season I named my team after Jack Steele and Jack McRae, the Jacks of all trade,
Whoa.
and now they're in slightly lower rung in their line and pass.
It was that one where Took, I think, broke out, wasn't it? Steele and
Yes,
Took went
they
like
all-
125
they all went
odd
like
for the season. And,
Gangbusters every year.
Yeah, and I got them both.
yeah, nice.
Rowan Marshall.
Hmm.
This is, I feel, a better options available because now
Yeah.
I feel like TDK's got the stretch coming. He's the ruck 3, and then Darcy Cameron and Marshall and Jocelyn for ruck 4 and 5. Rossco, as a Marshall owner, where do you sit? Do you feel like he's more in this tier, slightly lower rung in their line, or in the better options available?
No, because I think if you have Gorn and Cherry, you're not trading either of them to get Marshall. Like, he's not close. Even the same with De Koning. I don't really think he's that close to him either.
Yeah.
Especially if De Koning's going to be playing West Coast this week and we're going to be captaining him perhaps. I don't think Marshall's on the lower rung at the moment. I think just better options available.
Awesome. Do we
Ruck's
boys
a
agree
really
with that?
unique one to rank in the tier maker because I feel like if you're R5, that's slightly lower in their line because there's such few. So it seems stiff to Rowan, but I think, I reckon TDK, Gorn, Cherry definitely ahead. So, and even Jackson in current form, as we discussed before. So,
Yeah.
it
So-
seems stiff, but like, not
So
to
for
disrespect him.
context, guys, last week we ranked Tristan Cherry as a must-have, and we ranked
Yep.
TDK slightly lower rung in their line. Those are the two, and
wow.
Tim English as a pass. So those are the three ruckmen we ranked last week. This week we've gone. I guess you don't count Dogger as a ruck because he's a forward eligible. We've ranked Marshall as a better options available. So we've got 4 ruckmen in 4 different categories, which
It's
I think
really
is pretty
weird.
fair.
Can you have realistically? Can you have Marshall in top 6 to 8 in the line? Because technically, like,
I don't
I
have
know-
him above TDK. Like, if TDK slightly lower rung in their line, then there's no way Marshall becomes a top 6 to 8, which is basically top 2 to 3 ruckman. Like,
I
we
know,
just
it's why
weren't
it's
sure.
so weird to like
Yeah.
rank him because he's definitely top 6 to 8 ruckman, but like I don't know, it's kind of
Oh,
funny,
when that's that, I should have made that clear. When I say top 6 to 8, it's for the defs, mids, and forwards.
Yeah.
Like top 6 defenders, top 8 mids, top 6 forwards,
top 2 to 3
and then top
rucks.
2
Yeah,
that's the thing. Shay Bolton or Shy Bolton.
I'm an owner, boys. I don't know who else owns him, but it might just be me.
Where does
Roscoe,
it
you
go?
got him, man.
DR
Wow,
has
that's
him.
higher than I thought. I actually thought he was a bit
Rossco
of a
has him.
pod. Wow, there you go. I'm surprised there.
He may still be.
I think there's better.
I
I think
think-
there's better options available.
Down. Yeah.
One more pass.
Nah, not
Well,
pass. No, I'm not going to
He's-
disrespect. Better options, I say. Better options.
There's
He's
much
still
better
doing
options.
all right. Like, the bloke played a nice game in his last match as well. I think he booted 3. Looked really good, actually. But I
Should
think
have
that
scored higher.
he
I
was a
thought.
little bit of that midfield time, which wasn't fantastic. But I think that he's an okay pick. I'm just going to keep him for the season now. I was going to flip him and all this sort of business, but I just think there are better options available. But I'm not sitting there spewing that he's in my team. I'm okay with it, having him sitting there.
Yeah.
Cool. Jack Sinclair. I think this is a must-have.
Must
I
have.
think it is too. Yep.
Must have.
Hard,
You got
hard
to
enough
have
to
him.
have. He's D2.
Yep.
He's
I
shown it.
think.
He's shown it.
If not D1.
He's got to be the D1, doesn't he? Who else?
Oh, yeah,
Well,
He's-
now that
I think
Whitfield's dying on the
Like
pine.
Whitfield, you can't count Whitfield now. Zorko, we had Whitfield, Zorko, Sinclair as those big 3 at the start. Well, I did anyway at the start of the year. You
Yeah.
can't have Whitfield or Zorko. Ash, maybe Lockie Ash pushes up slightly there, but there's no other player I'd want defense other than Sinclair. Like, he's clearing away for me the defender that you want in your side.
Yeah, he's 4 points ahead of Ash for average as D1. So
DPP as well, and doesn't have the
Yeah,
buy
That
skills.
makes it a must-have.
So,
Yeah.
biggest must-have. Arguably the
Yeah.
biggest must-have on this list.
Love him.
Has to be. More than
On this
Brayshaw.
list, on this list, yeah. I was gonna, So,
Yep.
if we do that, Luke Ryan, it's so tough. Like he's shown signs of previous years of Luke Ryan, but he's 504k. Oh, there's just the ceiling
Who's
isn't
gonna
there.
do
Like
it?
he's gone above 120 once.
I'm passing. Sorry.
when
I
you've got
think there's
Naz sitting
better
there,
options available. Yeah,
you've got
that's-
Naz sitting there, and if you compare the two, it's not even a decision. It is just get Naz. He's been disappointing this year. He's lost that ceiling, and I don't know if it's due to
What does
game
that say,
style or a
Ross?
changing game style as well that's hurt him. But I'd actually go close to Rossco. Roscoe's a pass.
There's-
I'm going.
There's
pass
better
there.
options available, Janath, I reckon, but I reckon there's like 20 better options available, so I think it's a pass.
Yeah, we
the
don't
the reason
nice and
why
neat as
I
well.
feel like we're being a bit tight to Luke Ryan now he's buy free, but when you consider sort of, you boys are talking about Zorko and we're even talking about Whitfield here. By 3-round average, I don't know why. What is? Sorry. By 3-round average, he has the 14th best 3-round average. That isn't exactly part. Like Dane Zorko is a. Where is he? I can't even find him. Where's Dane Zorko's 3-round average? He's 39th.
Great.
Who he-
Like if we rank this, we wouldn't put Dane Zorko in the pass category.
You know what's funny, Janath? I reckon
Like,
with
that's
Dane
where I was
Zorko,
thinking. Like I feel like Luke Ryan's a better option available. You just don't forget about it
Yeah.
because
Actually,
could be
Janet,
okay.
yeah, hold
7
Hold
of
your
the last
horses,
11
mate.
at Optus Stadium as well. Like there's things to suggest that Luke Ryan can be okay.
We need to
Yes,
up him. Like, I just looked at his last month and a bit. Like, it's pretty impressive.
bad.
Like, since
It's
round
not
8
bad.
to 12, 115, 120, 91, 105, 99. So
That
91
is disrespectful. I don't know, but who knows that information? Like, who's even keeping tabs on him? Honestly,
North,
But
Essendon, St
that's the
Kilda.
important thing is you've got to
Yeah.
keep tabs on everyone.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
That's why we do this. Yeah.
All right, now
That's-
I'll pose
yeah.
you this though. Like I know you're looking at this 3-round average list. I got it up here.
Yeah.
4 teams, right? Would you not rather have Rosie for an extra 20k, Stewart for 50k less, McKercher for 100k less, Wanganeen Miller for the same price?
Yeah,
No,
Four
definitely.
players
That's
you'd
why
probably rather
that's
have
why it's
over here.
better options available. But he's not an afterthought. Like Jack Steele, for you guys, is an afterthought.
Oh,
Like if you needed a pod to bring you home, everyone's going to have Naz. Luke Ryan at the same price probably will get outscored most weeks, but 7 of the last 11 at Optus Stadium, like there's I feel like there's a reason to go there. For
look, it's
instance,
glass
like,
half
that's what-
full, and yeah, we
Yep.
don't mind that. So
We're sort of, it's almost like it's really inconsequential whether there's better options available past.
we're not endorsing the pick, but we're
We're
giving
not
like
endorsing it, I'm
credibility to his form.
Yeah, that's it.
Does
if
anyone
you-
know-
I'm trying to make any Luke Ryan owners feel good because he's not the worst pick, let's say.
What color is his hair
Right now,
at the moment? Yeah, is it brown?
It's normal brown, isn't it?
I think it's blonde.
Yeah,
isn't
he
it?
needs to go back to blonde. If he goes back to being blonde, I reckon we can move him up.
The peroxide prince.
yes.
Yeah, great JD called him. last
All
year.
right, boys. So I know last week when we did the tier list, some people didn't know the names of these players, which is totally fine. So I'm just going to go through and summarize what we have. So as must-haves, we have Jack Sinclair and Andy Brayshaw. As top 6-8 options, we have Jordan Clark, Luke Jackson, and Nasiah Wanganeen-Malera. Slightly lower rung in their line, we have Jack McRae and Caleb Sarong. As better options available, we have Rowan Marshall, Shai Bolton, and Luke Ryan. And in the pass category, we have Jack Steele. This brings us now, we have 5 must-haves. So we have said over these last 2 weeks that Jack Sinclair, Andy Brayshaw, Tristan Cherry, Marcus Bontempelli, and Zach Butters are all must-haves. Which brings us, I think, if we go back.
I'm tempted to
Treasure.
trade John out and take his money. But
So
Oh,
I
yes.
won't.
Zach Butters and Nasiah Wanganeen-Malera, they're probably the 2 biggest trade-ins this week. But DR, who are some other options that you go down to your local salvos and you're like, I could make some good use out of this?
Well, as you know, mate, someone's trash is another person's treasure. And we've got some options here that some may like and some may say absolutely not. But as you just mentioned before, we need to look at every option available because the rookie cupboard's bare. And we're going to get into a bit of strategy talk later where we're going to discuss, is it okay to actually think about downgrading primos? Maybe it's one of these type of players to fund money because we simply can't downgrade to any rookies at the moment. So a big discussion point this week, we've got some forwards, midfielders, and defenders. Now, the men up the top, the Doc, Sam Doherty, 403,000 on the dot. The 3-rounder is 88, but if you look at the 2-rounder, much healthier there. A low break even of 13, and with a score under 90, which I think is pretty modest based off his last 2 and that role, Janath, is going to rise over $33,000 this week. Now, something that was a little bit surprising to me is the fact that he's a midfielder only. I thought he had that midfield defensive status, and that would have really, really widened my eyes to this pick. But you are the Carlton man. We know that he did go back to the VFL for a stint to play down back to possibly get a little bit of touch and match fitness back. Do you think that this man is back and could be a selection even at our flex if your midfield's full? What do you think about the Doc, mate?
Yeah, look, I was a bit skeptical last week, given that he's been so in and out of the side, playing as the sub. The thing that's sort of changed now is Ollie Hollands has gone up the field and arguably had his best game as a Carlton player on the weekend. So that was really promising to see. And Doherty took the match-saving mark in a way as well. It feels like he adds a lot of composure to the backline, especially in the absence of Nick Newman. My concern that I have here is we know that he can score well, but when he has scored well in the halfback role of years gone by, it's been because of his really good disposal efficiency. His disposal has definitely come off a bit. And so at the price 403K as a mid, I feel like he's a flex or bust. You can't really rock him at M8, for instance. And so whether that sort of restricts sort of the scope of your team, if you get a 400k midfielder and lock him in a flex, it's just something to weigh up. But as a pick, I would definitely turn my tune on him as a pick based off what I saw against Essendon, where he was the last man in defense, took some kick-ins, I'm pretty sure, but was really used as a general, just like the heyday in 2017, 2016, those sort of years.
Is he trash or treasure, Janath? Seems
I
really
think
like
I think he's treasure.
Rankings.
He's treasure, but it's team dependent, which is a really weird thing to say. I feel like a lot of these are team dependent. I would love to have him as a DPP, and that really adds to it because you can roll him at D6 and be fine with it. At M8, if you've already got a flex, I think I'd look 2 rows down.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. Rossco, anything to add on the doc, mate, before we move on?
I don't think so. I think for me, probably an avoid, just because I don't really have a spot for him. My flex is Visentini, still making me money, and my midfield's full. So for that reason, I think I'm probably avoiding him for now.
All right. Well, one of Visentini's teammates, Miles Bergman, maybe your sort of flavour. He does have DPP, so he is a defensive mid, slightly more expensive than Doherty, 414,200 with a 3-round average of 99. Dead bang on break even, same as Doherty's with 13. And again, if you look at that same projected score, he'll obviously rise the same amount. So, boys, I'm just going to go through his last month of scores here. So, from rounds 9 to 13 against Adelaide, 104, down to a 66 against Geelong, then a 104 against Freo, and then the 128 last week against the Giants. And if we go to his CBAs as well, we look at 82% in round 9, good score. That low score, it went down to 36%, then back up to 56%, back up to 60. So I think that low score that we see that I just read out there obviously does correlate a little bit to that CBA rate. Now, if he continues in the role, I actually don't mind this as a pick. We know that he's obviously already had his bye. Coming off the bye should be nice and fresh, which is good. But it's the trust factor for me. If I look at his scores before that 104, I'll give you his month before that, from rounds 5 up to round 8, 62, 31, 39, and 68. So we can't be trading in those sort of scores at this stage of the season. It's all about, do we actually trust the role? What's Kenny going to be doing with him? Or will Kenny get the boot and Adam Carr come in? I'm not too sure by the end of the season. It depends on how their season continues to roll. Kenny says he's not a quitter. I'm not too sure. But Rossco, I might go to you, mate. Do you have any thoughts whatsoever or anything to add on Miles Bergman?
Well, just preface it, outside of Supercoach, I want to see him in the red, white, and black next season. It's been widely rumoured.
Okay.
Let's get him back to the road. I believe he's a Bayside boy. I think
That's a bit of outside noise, I'm telling you.
It's
we can dream.
Between him and McKercher, I think that's something that a lot of coaches will have to weigh up. Sort of segueing into McKercher a little bit, he's a bit cheaper. His 3-round average is higher, and it sort of seems like he's got a designated kicker role at North Melbourne. I think that weighing that up, do I trust Bergman more to stay in the midfield at Port, where they've got a pretty strong midfield? They've probably got Horn Francis to come in there. Or do I trust McKercher to stay back more and take kick-ins? I think I'd probably rather McKercher at a lower price. But either way, I think they could both be decent options.
I like McKercher. I reckon
like
he's
McKercher
by far stacking up as the number 1 on this list.
Does this role stay though? Like you blokes are confident now. I know there's been talk. Clarko said, they want to get players in their positions and get them to stay in their positions from now until the end of the season. All this, I can't trust a coach at the moment. I cannot trust anything that comes out of an AFL coach's mouth. Do you believe this, Spills? So are you of the view that McKercher is now going to be coming out of that defensive line for the rest of the year? Is that half back?
I think he can. I've actually saved this tweet from Fantasy Freako. I mean, unreal analysis, really knows the game. He actually posted 100% time on ground in defense last round for Colby McKercher against the Eagles. So that's the first time that's happened since round 24 last year. And I don't know. I listened to a lot of Jaws as well, as you know, and he was going to bring in McKercher, but he didn't. He actually,
Yeah.
sort of,
Like
we all know about that one. And he was sort of saying that it feels like it's starting to click. I mean, they've put Sheasel and McKercher in their role where they're going to play the best. Kircher's playing defense. He's that outside seagull, uncontested, kicking disposal efficiency, using that to his advantage. And then Sheasel pushing more into the midfield rather than that half forward. And it clicked. It did click. I know it wasn't a convincing win against West Coast, but it did click. So I reckon if there was any week where the roles were going to be sustainable, this would be the week. And with also the price, you got to factor in the price, boys. And if you're like me, where every single rookie's dead except Lindsay, well, beggars can't be choosers. And yeah, I'm pretty optimistic about it. It's not my first option that I want in the side, but out of this list here, it's the one that I definitely have the most confidence in. So I like Kirch. I think he's a fine option, but yeah, I feel like if you can get, obviously you can pay up for the Uber Premio type, Nas and Butters, other types, like do that first. But if you can't, I think he's the best budget option. So
I was just thinking, Spills, looking at the kicking breakdown from last week, the combo of the mini helmet and Kirch down back, you could be looking at every kick in for the game. So if you look last week, the helmet had 9 kick-ins, played on 9 out of 9. McKercher had 6, and then Luke McDonald had 1. So we've got 15 kick-ins between helmet and the Kirch. And the other one that got a look in was Luke McDonald with 1, and he just must have been the first one to get back to the square for some reason. So it may not be a bad combo having the two of those blokes down back. And
if I was to add to this, I unfortunately sat through the whole game replay today since I missed it on Sunday. just for Colby, all for Colby. But one of the things that I definitely saw come out of it, there was a play where he had not a 1-2, it was a 1-2-3-4, whatever you call it, where he just kept getting the ball back. He was running rings around, 13 touches in the third quarter. And I feel like that will stick because you saw on the other end, all the word coming out of Shees is his favorite position to play is mid forward. And now it's gone from a forward into a mid. And he's a midfielder. Like he had like 100-point second half as a midfielder. He's not a forward. So if he sticks as a midfielder, then you've got Fisher playing as a small forward. So he's out of the picture now. Realistically, you need to have 2 generals down back. One of them's Caleb Daniel. We know that for sure. And the other one is probably Colby McKercher. Something coming out of, I was just trying to find Twitter. There was someone replied to a tweet like the one you mentioned with Freaka, and they were saying how pre-game Harry Shees was talking about how Clarko post-buy has been they've been messing around with positions a lot. And they've been really focusing on now just settling players into singular positions. And even post-game, it came out, Harry Sheasel post said, so that's Caleb Daniel and Colby McKercher, going to work well together back there. Straight from Harry Sheasel's mouth. So you may not need to trust Clarko. Do you trust Harry Sheasel? I think I do.
Trust him more than Clarko. The only question I've got...
Yeah.
So I know that Spills, you said that Freako said it was 100% game time down back last week. If I'm looking at his last 3 scores here, he's gone, all right, let's go last 4. So I've gone 41 against Brisbane, 129 against Richmond, 63 against Collingwood, and then that big 144 against West Coast. So if I'm looking at his scores here, literally his 2 scores where he's gone above 100 are against Richmond and West Coast. And I'm seeing a 22, a 52, a 54, a 51, a 41 consecutively. So I am still slightly concerned.
What I will add to that Richmond game, he was playing inside mid. He had 10 tackles. The Richmond game wasn't due to Richmond. It was due to him having the tackles and playing as an inside mid. They've messed around with his position. He's been playing as a high half forward into a wing, into the midfield against Richmond, back to half forward against Collingwood or the wing against Collingwood. This is his first game playing.
Yeah, he played a bad role, but against a ordinary team and capitalised. We want him behind the ball.
He's not a midfielder. Like, he doesn't have the build for the midfield role.
It's good to get context on that. It is really good to get context
Yeah.
because you see that, then you see the lowest score, but knowing that he wasn't actually in defense, then that makes me feel a little bit better. So, boys, are we all agreeing that Colby McKerchat this week is treasure?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tick it off.
There's one other thing very quickly. 35 touches, 20 kicks. I think he went at 84%. 1 mark, 1 tackle. Now, you can read that one of two ways. Is that untapped potential? Because if he has the marks, he's going to the moon. Or is that a matter of fact that maybe the game wasn't conducive to him playing chip? Like, what?
Well, you said he
how
went a
do you
1, 2,
read the
3,
1
4.
mark?
So he's gone a few handball receives, obviously,
Yeah.
there and got on the run, hasn't he?
The
I
1
like
mark.
that.
Is that a green flag or red flag given he scored 144?
Well, it can't really get much worse than 1 mark.
Serious stat patter. That's good.
It's
He'll be
good.
fine. Yeah.
Look,
So that's good.
Yeah, I'm calling him treasure, but not like an absolute diamond. What's like lower, like a ruby or an emerald or something? I'm not good with gems. What's I don't know.
Emerald.
An emerald. I'll call him an emerald then. Now, Benny Keys, now, if he was a jewel, he'd be one of those ones that you've dropped in the mud, but you can wash it off. And this is no respect to the man. He's just not a shiny type player, I don't think. He's a bit rough as guts type operator. But I'll tell you what, lately, you look at that 3-rounder, 108, if you don't mind, 401,400, with the second lowest break even on this list of 11. So, again, with a similar score to the two blokes above him or the few blokes above him, he'll look to rise around 25 to 30K this week. Now, I'm not an expert on game day squad like you are, Rossco and Janath, but this man has been sitting in my game day squad starter team since I opened the app and since I downloaded the app. Benny Keys has not moved. I've got a massive soft spot for him, being ex-Lions man. He loved the Brisbane Lions, wanted to stay, but there just wasn't room for him. Wrapped that he's managed to carve out a really, really solid career at the Crows. But Janath, I'll go to you on this one, mate. George's boy, Benny Keys from the Crom. Do you think he's relevant whatsoever at just over 400K? Or are there just too many other options that we can look to get in, mate?
Maybe last week. Like, he went 94, then 8, 99, 106, 120. Look, he scored 106 against Sydney and then 120 against Brisbane. He's obviously locked in their team as best and fairest winner. I don't think he's not a bad option. I think he's one of those plays where you can get him before finals, before the run of West Coast, Collingwood, North. Like that sort of play, as opposed to 12 weeks out and having to rely on 100 from Benny Keys from here on out. Just has never done it before. Unless he was playing in the midfield. If you guys remember, he was a midfield sort of like 110 every single week kind of operator for a couple of years. But now he's playing as a half forward, and that's just not the role.
Yep.
I've got a bit of a problem with him. Like one pretty big one that really stands out, like the elephant in the room type. He's just way too accountable. He if you own him, like be prepared for. All right, Benny, I need you to do the job on this guy this week. And here comes a 50 because he's tagging or doing a run with, or because he's a team player, which is so good for Adelaide. I mean, I think that's exactly what they need. Come through the business end of the season, but could be an inconsistent sort of scorer, Supercoach wise. But being hot form, unbelievable season. But I would be worried about that if I own him.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Tommy Stewart. Now, I said a couple of weeks ago, I think this bloke is a dead Supercoach pick. But he slapped me in the face, and a few blokes that have jumped on. He is at 455,500 with a 3-rounder of 104, break even of 55, so not as low as some of the other blokes here. Am I riding off the pick too easily? I'm just massively concerned that Tom Stewart misses at least a couple of more games before the end of the season. What are the chances that Chris Scott manages him? He's getting older now. I know that the role is there and it's looking okay. I just don't trust his body and I don't trust his coach. Am I being way too harsh here? Spillsy, way too harsh or not, mate?
I don't think so. I mean, he's been unreal for years. I think he's a great price. But I feel like the days are gone where you just pick Stewart. I don't know. He's sort of... he's fallen off the charts, hasn't he? He's nowhere near what he used to be. I see there's value there, presenting good form, but
For
no,
history,
I haven't watched enough of him to really have a say. But I watch a lot of Shorty, and Shorty's a Geelong man. He's pretty firm on Stewart not really being an option for ever really. He's not the player he used to be. So you can pick him as that flex, that discount flex that can give you the good score here and there. But I think it's far from what we once knew. So yeah, take that information with what you will.
Rossco, you a fan of Stewart, mate?
Yeah, I actually own him. I got him 2 weeks ago.
Oh, here we go.
Spillsy's
Yeah,
just
right.
giving you a little
Really
whack
good
there,
work.
Rossco.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, geez. Here I'm saying, like, look out for Rossco. He's going to overtake me in the back half of the year. Tommy Stewart's coming for me. So yeah, egg
Well,
on my face now, mate. That's that hasn't aged
no,
well, has
it's
it?
good because we don't want everyone agreeing all the time. We want different
Nah.
points of view here. That's what it's all about,
Yeah.
Spillsy. We've given Tommy Stewart a whack. I've said he's too old. You've said he's useless. But Roscoe's an owner. Tell us why you're an owner, mate. And are you a happy owner? And would you recommend others to jump on?
Yeah, look, I just thought it was 2 weeks ago, the last time Spillsy and I did the potty together. I said, I'll get him in. He's too cheap not to have. He just presented a lot of value at 400,000. And he's come in and scored 2 tons, which you can't really complain about, especially when other defenders, Whitfields and Zorko's around, are all sort of, dropping 80s, 90s, that sort of stuff. Like he's matching them, going a little bit better. I'm not saying that we should be expecting him to be a top 8 defender by the end of the year, but I sort of needed someone to fill out my team with. And at the price, he's ticking all the boxes so far. I think his role is okay. I watched the Geelong and Gold Coast game. He's not completely loose, but, they seem to kick it to him a little bit. He likes to mop up a lot of stuff. Obviously, as you say, it's not the, complete seagull and, flying in for intercept marks and all that sort of stuff that gives you big points. But, he's getting enough of the ball just to tick over 25s and 30s every quarter. Then I don't see a problem with it at the price, but there's probably better options. Maybe, I don't know. I don't recommend it if you're expecting big things, but just someone consistent, I think you can probably deliver that. They have a good fixture too.
Yeah,
good point.
Sorry to be biased here, but this is when you say better options, this is a great segue to the man underneath. Now, I would say that last week was a week to go, and hindsight's a beautiful thing. What I would do right now to have like Jai Caldwell and then one of them, McKercher and Tom Stewart over Bonampally and a dead rookie is unbelievable. So I think this is why this segment's so important because, I don't know. Jai Caldwell, he's in great form. So injury prone, but he's elite. He's so. What would we do without him? Honestly,
that's so interesting that you just said you have no doubt in your mind that you'd prefer Colby and Jai Caldwell over Bont. Like,
I think that's.
I guess it makes sense. But
take with a grain of salt. Like that's just off the top of my head, but like that diversification is so important. I mean, getting rid of a rookie.
It's true, but
so bad, mate.
How about you think about it this way? If Bont is your 22nd player in your team, for instance, and then Colby's your 22nd and Caldwell's your 23rd, how many weeks do you reckon you'd use both Caldwell and McKercher as part of your best 22? Like Bont is in there and he's a captaincy option, that sort of thing. Like that's where I feel like we're all attacking this year from different point of view. So it's for you, for instance, Colby and Jai Caldwell, but like I feel like Bont is one of those players where you should be able to rely on him most weeks.
He's still dished up low hundreds at like mid 600K. So I think that goes to show, like, he's capable of it, and like that's what you pick him for. But there's no guarantees, and like I don't know, I like the value side of it. I wish I approached this year a little bit differently. I wish I didn't pay up for these guys and just picked a whole heap of these like treasure potentials, and then when they maxed, I could flip them because it's kind of like a guns and rookies. I'm looking at like 18 primos, like really good guns with 2 or 3 like really ordinary rookies. But I always think about it. I do think about that.
It's a good point. When you think if you got McKercher and Caldwell last round, you're paying $320 for McKercher, I think, because he scored so well. He went up 70,000 or something like that. You're probably paying, I think it's like $440 for Caldwell. which is only, 320 and 440, 760,000. How much was the bond before the start of last round?
630.
630. So
And a
bond
rookie.
and a rookie peddler, right? 130K. That's 760K.
150. So there you go.
Yeah. So you've got Peddler now who scored 30, probably going to get dropped.
That's my point, Janath. That's what I was trying to say. Like, nothing against the Bont, but I think the balance of the side would be more important, just with how woeful
Cherry,
these rookies
Spillsy?
are. Sorry, mate.
Do you have Cherry?
Yeah.
That's what I mean,
I
right?
started
You
with
want
him,
to
pretty sure.
Bont and just take Cherry or Gorn as your captain every week. Do you need Bont as the extra captaincy option if you think that one of them is just going to pop each week?
That's true.
Nah.
That's true. Yeah.
On this discussion, then, how about, I think a lot of teams, including myself, considering this. So when we go to look at my trades, I've currently got Naz in. If I bring Nazire in, I'm going to end with 9 trades, 22 premiums I would be happy to roll with every week. And I expect hundreds out of every single one of them, sort of thing, when we come out of the buys. But my flex would be a rookie. Alternatively, what I can do is I can bring in COLBY this week, save the money, the gap between Naz and COLBY, and upgrade, for instance, a Campbell Gray and let's say an Isaac Keeler next week and get Callum Mills. So I've got 23, 21 I expect 100 out of, and then you've got, I guess, the speculation, the injury risk of Mills and McKercher at D6 and the flex respectively. Which way would you guys lean? Do you lean the way where you go 22 premiums that you know what you're going to get with every single week most of the time? Like there's Chad Warner types in there that could get you 70 and when you may need the flex to come in. Or do you lean the way of 21 premiums that you're happy with and then 2 sort of mid prices that could flex plays that can score 100 on their day? McKercher could score 100 every single week from now on if we trust the role. Like what side do you lean for the coaches that are also considering tanking that flex position?
I know last year I would say the Uber Primo approach. So what would that be? The 21?
Naz. Yeah. No, 22. Yeah. You get 22 either way. But
it's whether or not
you prioritize the flex.
Yeah. And the rookie flex. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
I reckon
like
this year I would. Yeah, this year, with the rookie situation, I'd almost lean towards the second one. I'd have your 23, but like really reaching it with these guys here, essentially. Because where's your cash gen coming from? Once you get to my point, it's all over. Like, season's over. There's no rookies. I'm going to have to wait 5 weeks for Clark to max so I can make... Yeah.
But who is your rookie flex? Like, if we're talking like a Levi Ashcroft rookie flex, Angus Clark.
So my thinking here is how many weeks will I need my flex to be part of my best 22 out of the buy? We're not talking about the buys here. This is out of the buys. There is a world where I can go McKercher and Mills now, and then in 3 weeks' time, if McKercher's got up to 500k, I'm just not happy with him, I can get him to someone else. I've got a flex as well, but now I'm down to 5 trades. So I would have used extra trades to get the player I would have wanted to get in this week.
I think we need to marry up as well. How many trades left? So I think we've almost got to say, all right, do you go you're 22 with X amount of trades or 23 maybe with X amount of trades? Would you rather have 22 and 6 trades or you're 23 and 4? There's a lot. There's a lot to unpack with it.
I've got 22 and 9 or 23 and 7.
You bastard, 22 and 9 or 7?
Yeah.
Crikey, Janath. You just stay at the top of the pod, mate. Like, you're not moving. You're going to be a statue at the top of that pod, I think, because I'm nowhere near that, I don't think, at the moment. I keep flipping. I really keep, because this is the other issue that I quickly want to bring up. When I was thinking about this the other day, I thought to myself, do you know what? I'm happy with probably the 22. But in that 22, I thought I've got the real big dogs. And I was counting players like Whitfield and Zorko within the big dogs at that time. All of a sudden, these guys are not big dogs. So the value of my 22, I feel, is dwindling, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm making sense. I
No,
thought that I
you are
had
totally right. Yeah.
like the Ferrari is now gone down. We're not calling Whitfield a Ferrari in this country. Like Zorko, you may have never said he's a Ferrari, but he was a decent car.
He was a
He was
Ferrari.
well, he's humming well, wasn't he?
You wanted Zorka at some point in the season. Like, I think that's how I view it. Like, if you want a player as a keeper, you view them as a Ferrari.
Yeah. So that's another issue. The blokes I think are the top liners somehow have a role like Zach Merritt. You're thinking, yeah, this guy's going to be a top line midfielder. All of a sudden, you've got massive question marks over the pick, and your plans or your thinking may have to change now because he's not the player that you thought you were actually purchasing. So that's another spanner to throw into the works as well with the whole discussion.
Rossco, where would you go with that?
I don't know. My team's completely different. I'm just sort of messing around with a bit of mid-price madness at the moment just to try and play catch up a bit. But I think I probably prefer to have the premium and the rookie. You just have to obviously hope that you get the luck with your premium staying fit, but then you've got the trades to sort of cover that, I think. You know,
because if
you get that 21 and you get Mills and you get McKercher who both go 60, and then you get another premium, like you say, like Warner who goes 60, then all of a sudden you know, antipoding at least one genuinely good player who you probably could have. So yeah.
See, like that's where it comes down to. I was just saying to DR like before, like I've got the trades to get up to an Uber because one of these two is bound to appreciate in price, right? Like I can't see both of them stagnating at the exact price that's Mills and McKercher that they are right now. Like at least one of them's going to go up that I can go one up, one down later on in the season. So it's a tough one. I'm not sure like what sort of this is a call to make this week. Obviously with Naz playing the Thursday night, but yeah, DR, we're just hijacked sort of this discussion to talk about I think the strategy part of it about do you prioritize the flex or do you prioritize getting the best 22 on field, which is something we've had in the past. But now when we've got those speculative primos in a way like Warner, if he scores 50 and he's my 22nd and Angus Clark scores 50, I'm getting a 50 either way. Like that sort of thing. So it's very interesting there. Sam Darcy, 497k, 191 break even. We talked a lot last week about the Bulldogs' friendly fixture run. He could come down to 400s and he could also be a flex player. I think we're really fortunate that there's a lot of these types that could just be flex plays.
Absolutely, mate. Millsy obviously has a bye this week, so he'll be in our tier list next week. So we may not deep dive into him yet. And the last one I've got there, who also has a bye, is the meatball, Dion Prestia. Now, talking about being worried about steel and his durability and all the rest, the meatball.
Next
I
level.
don't want to curse him, but I'd be surprised if he doesn't roll an ankle over the bye or something. The poor bugger. He's just, durability is not a thing with the meatball. Love him, old Assumption College boy. So a lot of respect to him. But, maybe a discussion for the week after. Boys, just to sum this up, I want trash or treasure. Sam Doherty?
Treasure.
Miles Bergman?
Trash.
Trash is so stiff. Like
it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so stiff.
Compared to McKercher,
I'm just gonna say right now, Doherty, like I'm not even thinking about him in Supercoach, but it seems so stiff to have a man who has like overcome testicular cancer and then 2 ACLs and playing really good footy to have him in the track. Like, it just doesn't. I can't do it.
You don't need to talk about it that way.
I know, but it just
need
feels
to say
weird.
Treasure,
It feels weird.
Yeah.
Look, we'll call Miles Bergman like a nice can that you can get 10 cents for at the deposit. He's not trash. He's decent. You know, I can get something out of it.
He's having an unbelievable season, but like just trash in
fair.
Supercoach.
McKercher, treasure. All agree. Yep. Benny Keys.
Trash.
Sorry, Benny.
Trash.
Tom Stewart.
It's so
Tom
stiff.
Stewart.
Treasure.
I don't know. I can't.
I think
I'm
we're
just gonna say
half trash,
treasure because of Rossco, because Rossco's an owner, so maybe I'll just go swallow my pride on this one and be like, he's not.
I said
leave
treasure.
me in the sinking shit. I was going to say us two against them two, but just bugger off and leave me there. I'm calling him trash still, Spills. Bugger you, mate.
Cordwell. I respect that, actually.
At the
Cordwell.
price, trash.
Treasure.
treasure.
Price trash.
What a gem. It's
Their
still
fixture
cheap.
isn't easy either.
If he keeps scoring 110s, you can't complain. It's exactly what you asked for from Chera in the preseason.
One thing we didn't
Yeah, I
mention,
guess
guys,
so.
as well, is obviously the buys here. So this is a big difference. Doherty, Bergman, McKercher have already obviously had their buy. You've got Keys, Stewart, and Stewart and Caldwell's have that tricky round 16 buy for many as
that's
well,
what I
which
think
is
as
something
well.
you do need to take into account. So the fact that he's got the buy in round 16, I'm going to go more towards trash there at the price. Darcy could potentially be some
In
treasure,
2 weeks.
depending on what
in
happens.
2 weeks, he'll be very treacherous. Yes.
Callum Mills, could he be some
Trash.
treasure? Trash.
Yes.
I'd love to see him with Roberts. I'd love to see
I
him
want to
with Roberts.
see, yeah, I want to see that. I
not
want to
touching
see another week from him.
You're not
He's,
touching him, Rossco. All right,
Nah.
trash for now.
I
We'll have
think,
another
I think I'm
think about
going
it.
there next week. Going back to the X.
Oh, okay. It's going to be
Locking
interesting.
Horns
you
is
know,
back
they
there.
are-
Locking
they
Horns
are-
is
you know-
back on the Swordplay
You know,
potty. Let's go.
why? You know why I was talking? So you mentioned we don't need to talk about Mills this week. In this exact scenario that I'm in, I need to figure out this week whether Callum Mills is coming into my side next week. Because if I don't go Naz next week and I free up the cash to go McKercher this week, it's with the mindset of getting Mills next week. So it's the planning there. So this week I need to make the decision on Mills.
All right, well, let's have a
Basically.
quick discussion then. What
I don't hate it.
concerns me slightly is the fact that I didn't see him with Roberts last week. So the Lizard got off the chain. Mills got a little bit more of it. How do you think they all fit, Janath? Or is that something
He'll
you're
play
still
inside
not
mid.
sure on?
He'll play inside mid Mills.
You think he'll play
Like,
inside mid, Callum Mills?
I think he went back. Roberts was the laid out. He went back. He played inside mid against Melbourne. Looked okay. Like, didn't set the world alight or anything. Now, the things... Obviously, it's hard to say. When you're playing Richmond, like, they're a good side. Mills looked really good in the first quarter, but he was playing solely behind the ball. I think he's going to be okay playing on ball. And at the price... What has changed? Like, yes, he had the injuries, but has anything about Mills that what we know about Mills changed since the preseason when we all wanted to pick him?
Well,
Like,
Gordon
About
will
a
be
man
back.
staying on the park at this point.
But we
That's
knew
all.
that we at the start of the
Yeah.
season we knew that same risk, like that he can't stay in the park.
There's
What
nothing to suggest it won't work. I actually like this idea, Janath. I think it's smart to do that, but I'd add to that, and I think you need a backup. So if Mills, Roberts is back in the side, Mills scores 60, the roles in shambles is just not going to work. I think you need to pick another guy to fall back on. So maybe you plan for a Darcy in a couple of
that's
weeks.
a Darcy. Yeah, that's exactly it, mate. Like,
Yeah,
there's
you
always
need
a
a,
way.
you need a like a lifeboat for the sinking ship
That's
if
my
Mills
life.
goes
That is
down.
my lifeboat right there. Yeah.
Well,
Are
there you
prepared
go.
to
So
pay some
I don't hate
insurance
it.
for role, like pay.
What's that?
So skip him this week. I know he's got a 35 break even. Are you prepared to still get him at under 400k? Like how much?
He's
much
got the
would
buy.
we be?
He's got the buy this week, so I don't need to worry about it this week. So next week, that's why I'm
No,
like,
sorry, but the next week, could you put it off and just?
Nah.
And for other people who are still not sure on him, is that a viable strategy? I know cash is tough, but he's still going to be under 400k, even if he scores, just over 100.
It's a great way to get rid of a player like a Gray. If he's out for 10 weeks and not going to play again, I can get rid of Gray and possibly Ben Patton for Callum Mills. Like that's the thought process. There's get rid of all this dead wood. Have a flex, have bench cover.
It's a tricky one, isn't it?
And I think my worry with Mills is Patton, Blakey, Roberts, Bice, all taking those defensive sort of stats. None of them have scored exceptionally throughout the season. Goulden, I don't know if Goulden comes straight into the AFL. I don't know if Papley comes straight back into the AFL and takes some midfield time. Then it just doesn't sit nicely for Mills.
Mills will get his. You got to imagine the captain's going to get a role. They're not going to shaft him on a wing. He's going to get
Gordon goes on a wing, so that's going to be good for Mills. That sort of eliminates Mills from playing the worst case scenario. So I don't mind the factor there. And I think my boy Riley Bice could be in a bit of trouble. He's not really.
Where's your tattoo, mate?
Form, is it?
Where's your neck tattoo of Rolly Bice you're going to get?
Oh, mate, I want it. I wanted it. If only imagine on the neck, that'd be insane. If only I did a
what were you
small
gonna say?
portrait, I'd be locked in. But
You were going to say something, Rossco, about Mills, yeah.
No, I just think there's a lot of moving parts in that side. They're not very good. He's not very durable, and I don't like the just everything around it.
Yeah.
Rossco just wanted to add he thinks the Swans are rubbish, Mills is rubbish, and everything around him is rubbish. So nice little drive by Rossco. And we'll finish with the meatball. Dion Prester on that.
Yeah.
I've got
Trash.
no faith he stays on the park, so I'm going to have to say trash, unfortunately. Boys?
Yeah, probably.
hot trash, hot garbage.
Hot trash.
Sorry, Dion.
Hot
Don't
garbage.
say that about a Great Assumption College boy, mate. Come on.
Stop.
It's,
Does anyone back him to stay on for the whole season?
Absolutely not.
no,
All
not at
No.
all. You could ask me, will he be in for
What if
a
he does
fortnight?
though?
And
What if he
I'd
just
say,
keeps up this bullshit for him? And he's like, what happened? Like,
I'll do
what
this
happened?
one. I'll do you another one, Janath. I know I did you one earlier. I'll go with everyone this time. If Prestia plays every game from now till the rest of the season, I'll take you all out to IKEA for meatballs.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I wouldn't turn that
I
one
like
down.
that.
That'd be
That
right.
is
Can you get me a
magnificent,
cinnamon
mate.
scroll as well?
Yeah, maybe we can do that.
All right,
Nah,
all
it's
right.
Good.
Oh, we got to talk strategy. Strategy, look very quickly, DR. You want to talk strategy about trading out your Gorns, your Zorkos, your Neils types for cheaper premiums. Fallen
Yeah,
premiums.
just very quickly, because this is something that I never ever consider doing. It's just not a play that I tend to make. I'm one that you hold faith in your primos, you select them for a reason, yada, 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 unless absolute disaster strikes. But in a year that is Supercoach 2025, we've already talked about how bare the rookie cupboard is at the moment. I just don't seem to have the bench rookies to be able to downgrade to make enough cash. I'm the same as Spills, like your Greys, your Simpsons. I've got a day Wicks. Even your Husweights don't have a lot of money on their head. The pet at
There's
the moment.
nothing left. It's actually
Yeah,
dead.
it's like, who am I getting rid of to actually make money? So then I'm thinking to myself, okay, do I need to think about this a little bit outside the box and make my money a different way? By trading out one of my primos or uber primos to a lesser primo to then get that extra upgrade into my side. So I know there's been a bit of Gorn discussion. I've looked at it this week and have actually considered going Gorn down to TDK. TDK faces the Eagles. Unfortunately, Gorn faces Port Adelaide, where he's scored a pair of 170 odds in his last two appearances against that side. So I don't know if it's necessarily the week to do it, and it's a bit scary, but that nets you a couple of $100K. That then gets you Ashcroft to Zach Butters. So we're going the Gorn Ashcroft or TDK Zach Butters combo as just an example. I'm also looking at my round 16 buy and looking at some underperforming promos like your Lockie Neals, even your Dane Zorkos. And I'm thinking to myself, could I actually allow myself to have round 16 as a bit of a friendlier buy for myself by getting rid of one of these primos, investing in a primo that's already had their buy, and investing in a primo that's, say, 100 to 150K cheaper, that can not necessarily do exactly the same job, but maybe the difference I feel isn't 150K. I feel the gap might be close to a 20 to 50 odd K. These are the things that I'm thinking in my mind at the moment. And my traditional Supercoach hat, when I put that on, says, DR, what on earth are you doing? This is not the way to play the game, particularly when we get to the buy rounds. If you're going to do that, it's generally at the start of the season with our correction trades, if there's some massive red flags around a particular player or two. But boys, I suppose I'm almost, in a way, asking for permission. Is it okay to do this? Because
Yeah.
I've got the same question. I've actually got the same question. You guys are going to absolutely take the piss out of me, but imagine like Bonds down to like Butters, 100K there, and then Zorko down to, McKercher.
Yeah.
Because the rookies are absolutely, they're dead. I mean, after Lindsay, my most traded out player is like Campbell Gray. I think it's, 1.7 or something percent, or it might be higher, but it's bad when the highest traded out player on your side is really, really low. and I've never seen
Yeah.
numbers this low before. So
Yeah.
we've got to accommodate for it. We've got to keep upgrading. If we don't keep upgrading and making money and getting rookies off the field, you're going to plummet. So I think we need to actually endorse this strategy a little bit more, because it's going to be another at least 3 weeks to a month before we can cash in an Angus Clark, who's our best rookie at the moment. Even a Johnson, he looks really promising, but that's still a while away. So what do we do in the meantime? Do we just keep fielding these rookies? Do we keep fielding a Clark? And I can't remember where else I've actually got on field. Peddler. I think Peddler's stuck on my field at the moment.
Yeah.
That's a massive liability.
The timing never seems right this year, does it? It never seems right.
It's terrible. I'm actually tempted to do this and finish my side this way, get rid of Uber premiums and just really fix that. Yeah.
Well, that's
Do
the
you
thing.
have the trades?
Got
Do you have the trades to do it? I think that's the key point, because if
Probably
you don't,
not,
if you don't have the trades to do it, then
But
is it really worth it?
I suppose the way that I'm looking at it is I've still got to downgrade to upgrade my side. This is just another way of downgrading. I don't feel like I need extra trades. I'd be using this almost the same amount of trades, just in a bit of a different way, I suppose. Like, Rossco, what do you think, Rossco, about the whole strategy of doing this? And I know it depends on the play. I'm not going to talk about I'm going to trade out a Bont. I've just got him and all the rest. I'm focusing specifically on primos who I think, are not must-haves, have underperformed and have an upcoming buy. So they're my sort of factors I'm taking into account. But what do you think generally about the whole strategy, mate, of downgrading your primos?
Well, I think I'm a fan, because the way I tried to start the year, I tried to start with nailing the premiums that I thought were going to be really good, sort of complementing it with a bit of value. And then, some of the values worked. Chera worked. Nankervis didn't work. And I wish at some stage I'd had the brains to just go, look, at Sarong at 600K after he started with, 100, 100, 100, 100, to jump on someone at 550 like Cherry would have been probably a much better move for my season than just holding on to Sarong the whole year. Like, he's been fine. But, if you've got the opportunity, it's easy to say in hindsight, yes, we should just hold our premiums. But, with this flex, with 40 trades, with the boosts, with the buys giving us extra trades, I think it's sort of changing the way we have to play the game. There's no more setting up your team for 22 premiums and just sitting there on it for the best. I don't know if rookies are going to be so bad next year. I hope not. But
hopefully not. Shit.
It should help us a little bit, have to avoid this a bit less. But I think it could be necessary, the way you've said it, Spillsy. And I know a lot of people sort of like to give flack in the community and go, well, why would you trade Gorn? Why would you trade, Neil? Why would you trade Zorko and all that? But, if it's something that you want to back yourself in, you shouldn't really listen to the outside noise. You just focus on your strategy and, just go with it.
I reckon Merritt's a good one. So he's 549K and he's averaging like 80 off half back, and DR, obviously, like that role is pretty permanent at the moment. So he's a real good example of someone you can go, okay, like, he's at a decent price. He's not doing what I want him to do. Lockie Neal, the same sort of case. I'm going to bring in, I'll use DPP, bring in a Tom Stewart, swallow my pride, and at least like my worst player might be a Tom Stewart, not a Luke Peddler. Like, that's sort of where what you weigh up. I'm actually really tempted to trade Zach Merritt or Lockie Neal this week for one of these blokes. It's fun. It's fun to think about. Like, Caldwell's the obvious one, but we need money, boys. It's not. We got to do something.
No, that's fair.
Yeah. Janath, we haven't heard much from you about this whole strategy, mate. Now, we know that you're sitting up the top there, and you don't need to be splitting free.
He doesn't have that problem there. He's dead.
Yeah. But tell us, mate, generally speaking, what can you add to the discussion here? Your thoughts on the whole downgrading primos talk?
The only, like a Gorn type is an interesting test study, because if you split him or you downgrade him, you're going to want him back. And so if you don't have the trades to bring him back in, I can't see justifiably why you would do it. Because, especially with a player like Gorn, that's just mental heartache waiting to happen. Like, how can you go weekends knowing you willingly traded out Gorn knowing you want to get him back in and he scores 170. Like, how can you deal with that? Someone like a
about what-
Zorko, a
Yeah,
Neil, a play
Neil
like
Zorko
that,
then.
I can see it. And if you're going Neil to Butters, 100% do it. Neil to Naz, do it. Like, these are the kind of players where you probably
Got permission.
don't want to trade back in. You're not looking to trade back in, but I wouldn't do it again unless you have the trades, and two, unless you're one primo away from full premium. Like, you have to be really close to full premium. Otherwise, it's a lateral move. You're not making any ground that week. It could be masked by the buyers as well. You might be thinking your team's in a better position than it actually is. And so it's all in holistically looking. You need to identify where your team actually looks. Yeah. But not
Beautiful,
with Gorn.
beautiful.
I just don't like.
No.
Yeah, I understand the premise, but if I personally know that he's going to drop 50K, I'm like, I can't do it because I'm going to have to get him back in at some point. There's not enough trades in the season. If he goes 170, he's out of reach again. No way.
Yeah,
absolutely no way.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I suppose what you're saying in a nutshell is that it can't be someone that we have right at the top of that tier list. Is that must have? Maybe you're looking at
Or
someone
that
maybe
you're
even
looking
from
to
that
bring
top
back
6
in.
to 8. Yeah.
Like not even a top 6 to 8 because you want them in your final side. So
Next
if you
year.
have less than 10 trades right now after this week, maybe if you have more than 10, you can facilitate getting them out, getting them back in. That will cost 4 trades, probably. If it's less than 10, you're going close to that bottom 4 play you're going to want back in.
What if you don't bring him back in? Are you happy to sacrifice? So let's say I'm someone, I think I've got 8 trades left after the ones I'm going to make this week. Would you say, let's sacrifice a Zach Merritt? The role's terrible. His break even's high. His price is good. There's money on his head. I'm happy not to own him for the rest of the year, but I use some DPP. Connor Rose in the midfield.
Sentence.
In comes Nas.
That exact sentence is all you need to justify it. I don't look to bring him back in this year.
And I wouldn't. Like, if I'm getting rid of Neil
that's fine.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to spend 2 more trades later down the line to bring Zach Merritt back in.
No, you don't. Yeah, you don't. It's a bit hard with Bont or something because you probably want him back at some point.
That's the exact thing.
Yeah.
There's some different beasts out there, I think, like your Bonds, like your Gorns, that imagine trading them out and watching them play would be just a dagger to your heart. But boys, we're going to get in trades in a minute. But what discussion? We've gone the tier list with players coming off the bye. We've gone the trash or treasure, got some deep strategy discussion there. Very, very solid so far, guys. We're getting closer to the end now. And we are now on trades. And Janath, you are hosting, and somehow I've just jumped on board here. Sorry, mate.
That is
I'm the first one here, and this is why I needed your permission about trading out a premium player. Now, these are not locked in stone. I've literally got a million different options that I could look at this week, and I hate fading Zach Butters, but I want you to look at the money I'm going to have in the bank here. Now, this is where I'm not sure if I'm doing the right thing. At the moment, out, Gawn, Lindsay, Ashcroft, in Messiah. Neil. Crikey. Neil, Lindsay, Ashcroft, in Wanganeen Miller, Zach Johnson, and McKercher. Now, my plan is next week with 405,000, I should, unless Butters goes nuts, be able to straight trade Campbell Gray to Zach Butters. I'll have nothing in the bank, but then I'll have 22 premiums. The 23rd, I'll have like your Pedler, your Clark, and maybe your Johnson. And I'm hoping that there might be a way before the last buy that I can get these blokes up to Horn Francis as that 23rd. So I just don't know if having that much money in the bank is a good idea. It's all about what you were thinking about, Janath. What's going to happen with trades next week? And I want Zach Butters in the side. I just feel that strongly about Naz that I've almost prioritized him with that lower break even this week over Butters. So I don't know if I'm crazy, but what I can tell you is that Ashcroft and Lindsay will definitely be out. That could get me Butters, Naz, and one of Butters or Naz and Johnson by doing that. So I could just do that, but I sort of want to prepare to get Zach Butters in, and I certainly want him in. I just don't know if this is a right week to go him or Naz.
So, D, I've just done the maths for you. So, 35.7k is your allowance here. 35 point, what is it? 35.7 points above break even. 125. If he goes above 125, you can't go grey to Butters next week in 1. If he goes below, you can.
Right.
That line is against Melbourne. Does he get the Ed Langdon
Do I
tag? Does he
gamble?
get
What a
run
gamble.
free? Does he get to run free?
What a gamble. I'll be riding every possession. Dead set every possession. I'll be
His last
riding
three.
this.
Do you want to know his last
riding,
three?
man.
131, 98, and then here's the kicker. 184.
Fuck hell. Oh, was that in the wet? Was that game in the wet
That
at
was the
Adelaide
wet.
Oval?
That was the wet game. That was his game.
I remember watching that. He
Yeah.
dominated that game. He was just so good, so hard. He just.
That was his
I remember
breakout.
that game in the wet.
Yeah.
I'm nervous now. I'm nervous, but look, hey, if need be, maybe it's a McCarthy in, get him in early type thing.
Yeah.
I can still make it happen. But are you happy? Are you happy enough with Neil out?
Look,
Yes.
If you compare the pair,
I've owned him all
Wait, you
year.
need Valera.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
care. I wouldn't care.
look at this.
Like,
The Wanger is
Wang.
60k cheaper and averages more. I think that says it all.
Done deal. See you, Chocky. That's me. Done. Done.
but would you? All right. What about this one? Who would you rather keep, Chalky or Zeret? Around the same sort of price, both pretty ordinary form. So that's the decision I've got to make here.
Probably
Merritt.
Neil, actually.
I
Sarah's
would
role
go
is all over
Zeret
the
too.
place.
I'm keeping Neil over Merritt.
I would
I
keep
reckon.
Neil over Merritt. Yeah.
DR.
Sarah is going to get, if he plays midfield this week, he's going to cop the hardest O'Shea Mullen tag this year. He
might cop it
have
anyway.
15 touches. He'll have 15 touches this week. And then he's got possibly Corey Wagner. And this was all
Yeah.
touted when we were talking about it. Toby
Jordan
Bedford, round
again.
19.
Stop
James
it.
Jordan, 21. O'Shea Mullen again in 22. Chincotta again in 24.
Stop
And
it.
possibly Windy. Like, he has about 8 tags coming up on the run home. There's no way I'm keeping Merritt.
I'm trading.
if
I'm
you're
gonna.
comparing
I'm
those
trading Merritt. I think this week.
He's
not
going to
holding
score
that.
well against Richmond. He will probably score 150 in that game. But none of the other games you look, maybe Gold Coast, well, none of the other games you look and say he's going to score 120.
Nah.
Like, based off the matchup.
At least
My
you know
team's not-
Neil's got the role.
What's that, Ross?
My team's not good enough to trade these guys.
Get out
Some
of it,
sort of
Ross. Wet sale operation, mate. All right, well, Spillsy, get on your trades, mate, because we've talked a lot about mine. You're also getting the Kirch in, which I can see. Gives me a little bit of confidence here.
Yeah, good segue. I really like McKercher, and for what I can afford, it really helps me out because beggars can't be choosers. I just need this to work. I'm taking a gamble, and I'm really hoping that he can be the flex, and I'm planning to hold him for the rest of the year. I think that's the ambition here with the 8, probably 7 trades I'm going to have for the rest of the season. I'll talk about that in a second. Even though we just sort of discussed it. Johnson will come in for Lindsay as well. So, that's like, look at that. Gray. He's my next best rookie. Speaks volumes of how hard it is this year. So, value is key. And I think we target it at all costs. So, that's why we're bringing in McKercher. I'll love a Butters. Can't get to him. I'd love a Nas, which is why I think I'm going to trade Zach Merritt to Nas and bank another 70K. Doing that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to do that, DR, and put Rosé in the midfield for the rest of the year. Defense is done. Nas in there as cheap as it sort of comes, and I'm probably just going to keep doing that. If we get another stinger from Neil, I'm going to do it. Yeah, I'm going to try and upgrade my side through overpriced primos who I don't want in my team again. Until
You're technically
we make money
gaining
off
100 or whatever points as well because you're getting rid of a player who hasn't had his buy for a player who has had his buy.
That's true, Rossco.
That's a good point. So I didn't even think about that. But the only problem is it only allows me with 7 trades left, which is really kind of scary when I've still got 3 rooks on field, allegedly. But I reckon I'm just going to stick it out with Gussie Clark and the other boys, and I think it'll be fine. We'll we'll work it out. But I'm just going to target value now because there's no cash 10. So, yeah, you got to get rookies off somehow. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
don't mind us,
I'm going
Millsy.
to take a leap out of your book, DR, and I'm getting rid of a Neil or a Zarek. Probably Zarek with the run that he's got coming up, and the role is terrible. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a
Very
good point
nice.
about the buy as well,
Jeez,
Rossco.
we're slapping our boys in the face this week, aren't we? See you,
Isn't
Zero.
that hard?
See you,
It is
Ricky. We've
hard.
had enough.
It's very hard.
Jeez.
I'd love to own Merritt. That's why I bought him in. Being the Dons man, I am a little bit of optimism, something to look forward to. But it's really it's such a hard watch. We are so bad for doing that. I mean, I'm with Kane Corns here. It's such a shambles that we're playing him off halfback. He's our best player. What are we doing? Like, no wonder we're so terrible. But I'll leave that rant for another day. But yeah, they're probably going to be my trades. I reckon. I'm happy to do that. Gives me 70K
Love it.
too. Handy.
Janath, the professor. Geez, you're going all out here, mate. Boosting in a buy round. 4 trades for the week.
Yeah, I was gonna say I
Dirty.
don't know. I don't want to
dirty.
flex here. Don't want to flex here. But if any of you boys want to pay real life money, I will give you guys a flare. I'll give you another boost. I've got one more as well.
I'll get butted in this week.
But what I will just say is the trade outs are locked in. It was a very dicey watch when Lindsay got subbed out, but just made it. Pryor, Ashcroft, Hustwaite, Lindsay are out. And then 3 of the trade-ins are locked in. Johnson, Butters, Jackson. Now I'm going to show you guys I'm going to visually show you guys what I was talking about before. I'm just going to stop sharing this very quickly. Oh, sorry. And I just want to share this very quickly.
He's got vision of his own trade analysis, DR.
So this is my team.
This is ridiculous.
So what I will do is I'll trade this McKercher back out for. So this is the trade. This is the one trade I'm considering that I'm not sure about. So if I go Wangani Malera in, Clark will be the flex. 9 trades left. Cool. Otherwise, if I keep McKercher in, 9 trades left next week, Gray and El Hawley out, Mills in the flex, McCarthy D8, Clark D7. So the question becomes McKercher and Mills or Wangani Malera and Clark. 2 extra trades. But what this team would look like, just imagine Mills is there. That is the 23. And I'm
this
comfortable
team is
with all
crazy.
of
I
them
didn't realize
scoring.
how much better your team is than mine.
How much?
That is
How much? So,
mental.
what would you roughly have in the bank, Janath? So,
I have enough.
if you went the Mills route,
Yeah.
what would you have in how many trades? So you'd have what?
I would
7,
have 7 and about 10K.
So 7 and not not much.
Basically,
And then
nothing.
you've got Keeler, Zach Johnson.
Keeler. These 3 should play. Like, I mean, Boxall's dropped. It's not the end of the world. I would have Clark and McCarthy if he plays. I don't really care if he plays. He's actually touted to debut this week, according to Ryan
Daniels.
Ryan Daniels, that's the one.
He's a legend. Yeah.
And then, yes, I've got
mate.
cover on each line. I'm going to have cover on
I'm
each
just
line.
thinking with your team,
Yeah.
if you did go the Mills route, you've still got a fair few trades there.
Yeah.
Mills we're hoping is going to make money. Could you do that? And then luxury Mills, or if McKercher doesn't necessarily work out,
I was talking to you guys.
you've got enough trades for that luxury. So maybe you look at that as like worst
I'd
case
do that
scenario
with his team.
with the ability to then go that extra level player on like instead of your Mills and upgrade a McKercher, a Mills, no one really else that you would really, is there? They're probably the 2 blokes that stand out that you'd look to.
Yeah, Chera maybe. But it's like that's the thing I was talking to you guys about before, is that I could get Wangani Malera in now or in 4 weeks with either McKercher or Mills. Like, and I would still have a flex in that case. So I'm going to have a flex if I go that route, because I'm not going to trade both of them out. Hopefully not, sort of thing.
It's so hard because we know exactly what we're going to get with Naz. We know exactly what we're going to get.
Exactly it, yes.
With McKercher, there's still some question marks there. So
it looks like that. Oh, sorry, I don't know why it's going like. It looks like that, and then I wouldn't make any trades next week. And the other sort of tough part
can
comes
you-
into this is if McCarthy is one that I need to bring in, I'm not upgrading anywhere. I'm just going to downgrade someone. Like there's no one.
How much salary do you
no
have there,
one to
Janath?
100 and
Now.
oh, this one is 8.9.
Right. So if you go Gray, El Houy,
Yeah.
Archer Reed.
As a boost, yeah.
No, it's not boost. It's 3 trades.
Oh, yeah, in the buys, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Then
You're saying
you
Madden.
go McCarthy.
Yeah.
You go Madden or O'Keefe.
Yeah.
Do you reckon that's enough to get you up to Mills with the third one?
Well, let's figure that out. 210.
Well, that's not a bad call, Rossco, because they're all dead. Oh, not dead. Well, they are, apart from Reed, dead weight, aren't they?
173.5 and 167.9.
Either of these scenarios, you're in a great spot. This is a very good team. I mean, you've got 2 less rookies than I have, and
It hurts looking at it, doesn't it?
surprisingly better cover.
555. Nah, Ross, I'm going to be short. Oh, I think I'm going to be just short because it's 560.6. Mills
about
is
not Madden?
357 up.
How about
Nah, I'll have 194 for those 2 rookies.
194.
That's
It's
close.
just off.
I could do it with Keeler if Keeler's going to go up this week. So it could be Keeler and Gray. But then I would keep an El Hawley as a dead weight rookie. And, I just don't know about that.
You'd
The
still
other
like
problem that, go on.
trades up your sleeve, though.
You
You're
just
still
rip
like
it,
in an
rip
okay,
boost.
even after this boost, if you did that, you'd still be in an okay trade spot with 23 and that many trades. Like,
Well, the thing comes, this is why I watched the whole North-West Coast game in totality. So I'm just rambling on here, but because it all comes down to McKercher. Like,
it's a massive call for
McKercher
you.
for me is more important than Mills because he could genuinely average 100 on the run home in this role. Like if he's in this role, I
Season
don't see a
defining.
world where he doesn't average 100. Let's say it that way. With Mills, there's all this volatility going around sort of thing. But I can't wait for McKercher. So if I go McKercher, I have to go this week.
Oh, it's tough, isn't it? Like I dead set think McKercher in that role, he could average as much as Naz. I think
Yeah,
he's that
yeah,
good, and there'll be that
yeah.
much there. It's do we trust it? It's your trust factor.
The
isn't
role. You trust
in the
role.
role, he is such a good scorer and a good player. You'd be so happy to have him. But
I reckon he's got it now, boys. I'm pretty confident
Oh, I
with
just
what we saw.
you'd be
The other
shattered
thing,
in like
Rossco.
2 weeks. In 2 weeks, he goes back to a half forward wing, scores 50s again. You're like, oh man,
Can't think
but
like that. You just got to back him in. That's the risk.
you backed him in, Spillsy.
You got
I think
to.
I'm backing him in.
You got to be
Yeah,
glass
back him
half
in.
full. You can't think about that until it happens. Like you're picking him because you think he's going to have the role and he's scoring really well and he's cheap.
Yeah.
When the rookies are all dead, like this is a risk you got to take, and I think it's a pretty
Yeah.
good one. I'm taking it. So
And with Reed as well, we were sort of talking about this a couple of weeks ago. Just a player I don't want to trade out because if a TDK or
That's
Cherry's out, it's an advantage that I have that a lot of coaches don't flex aside. Just having someone to bring on, in the ruck. But we'll see. We'll see how things go then. All right. Let's go on to Rossco's trades. Sorry, I just rambled on for so long there.
I've got another quick inquiry on your side, Janath. Your mid bench. There's no DPP. Don't you want a mid forward? Like you bring in Jackson as a mid only. Do you really need him to play? Can you bring in a loophole? You need that DPP, I
Yeah.
reckon.
It's an interesting one, mate, because it's almost like if I bring in a flex, it sort of doesn't necessitate it, but at the same time, having a mid DP, like having 3 midfielders on the bench, I was thinking about that. Do I just go McCarthy this week and just see what
You
pops up
don't
next week?
need.
That's
you
the
actually don't
other
need-
option.
What are you gonna do if like Hugh? You probably hold him for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
It's not a bad call, Spills.
Yeah.
Not a
I was
bad
thinking
call.
that. Yeah,
And you got 12 trades. No, 9 now, and you've just
not
used it
12
like a.
not 12 trades.
You've got
12.
9 now, but you used a
Yeah.
boost,
Yeah.
like and
Yeah.
like a 4 trade. Oh, you're in a good spot, man. Like I'd trade in a loophole almost, but I don't know. You don't have to
we'll
listen
see.
to me.
We'll see.
I've got like no.
No, I'll
I've got
listen to
no
those
passion
YouTube
at all. My team's
No.
screwed.
All right, Rossco, you go, mate.
Yeah, look, I've got Kennedy on there as the trade-in. I think I'll probably go to McKercher. I just need to work out a rough sort of round 16 structure, I think. The 3 players that I can trade out, I'm pretty happy to move. Could also move Gray and get myself an extra 15,000. Pretty happy to bring in Johnson. I think McKercher might be the one, maybe just save myself 100K and then go up to someone else next week. Swing McKercher between the defensive line and the midfield line to cover the next 2 weeks. And then Madden, only because I have 4 rucks. So I just needed someone to come in and fit the rucks because I don't really want Visentini at 330K sitting at R3. I just think it's a bit of a waste, you know. And probably McKercher, if he goes well, would probably end up in the flex because I have 6 defenders and 8 mids when Visentini goes. So I think that's my strategy that I want to go to. I just need to find the right forward then if I don't go Kennedy this week to get there, whether it's even Sam Darcy. You know.
What about Horn Francis?
Yeah,
You don't
I
have
could go
Hornet.
there. Yeah.
He's going to be about 430 in a couple of weeks. Like,
That is horny.
That's the
as
thing.
an owner, it's scary for you.
Spillsy.
It's scary for me because you guys will get him cheaper. Like, that's a scary sight. He's a good player. Go.
Yeah. Lots to think about. That's probably pending to change depending on what I end up doing. I think the 3 outs will probably stay the same, but the ins probably only Johnson at the moment.
Yeah.
Nice, Rossco.
We shall move on then to the captains. I know it's been a long potty. I think we talked about everything.
Big episode.
Genuinely everything.
Massive.
But the captains, mate, look, we'll cut to the chase. When putting it together, I think there's 3 or 4 matchups that stand out like a very red bells. If you own them, VCC, go for it. Marcus Bontempelli against St Kilda. Last 3 against St Kilda have been 159, 125, 125. Quick question, Rossco. Marcus Windhager, does he tag? And if he tags, he goes to?
He won't tag Bond. He'll tag Richards.
Will he tag Richards? Yes. He tagged Anderson against Gold Coast. That's what I was wondering. Bailey Smith and Holmes against Essendon. I think we'll have a very good field day at the MCG. Andy Brayshaw against North Melbourne at Optus should also be a field day. But I come to this one. If you're a Max Gawn owner and you have Tom De Koning, I reckon you go Gawn into De Koning because Gawn his last 2 against Port Adelaide have been 177 and 177. His last 3 at Adelaide Oval have been 145, 129, 177. And he's in good form. Team is coming off a bad loss. He's the captain. He got a cook unnecessarily from Stephen May. Has to face the media. Everything is aligning for possibly a Max Gawn 200 game. And as a non-owner, it is a very, very, very scary sight. But look, some of us are TDK owners and we'll take the 130. Come on.
I seed Max Gawn last year for that Port Adelaide game, and it was the best thing ever.
He's mental.
I remember it like it was yesterday, like unreal. It was insane.
At the moment, personally, I'm looking at Bont or Brayshaw into De Koning. Ross?
Bontempelli into De Koning for me. I don't trust Bailey Smith to be back from injury. I don't own Brayshaw. I don't own Gawn. I don't own Butters. So it's De Koning or bust.
Butters is the other one, obviously, with the possibly Cray just loves Adelaide. The tag with Ed Langdon's the thing that's like, it's an irky feeling just because it happened to Dacos on the weekend. Spillsy?
Probably looking at Bont into Gawn, I reckon. Yeah. Usually it's just, I've been doing Cherry and Gawn every week. It's worked a treat, but I reckon it's I reckon it's Bont this week. Like St Kilda, pretty good matchup. Big score a couple of years ago. Yeah, I'm going to do that, I reckon.
And
more likely.
I can't believe for the first time I'm not considering Sherry too highly, which feels really, really weird and disrespectful.
Yeah,
but
I'm with you.
It's weird, isn't it? It's just the go-to. It's like Sherry's a go-to, but it's going to be either Bont or Brayshaw into Gawn for me. I just don't know if I'm going to go with Bont or Brayshaw. But Gorn's definitely going to be that backup C.
Bont or Brayshaw. Yeah, that's the exact same for me, except TDK instead of Gorn.
Yep.
All right, lads.
Nice.
Well, that wraps it up in terms of this bulky podcast. We're probably going to do the mailbag tomorrow because it's just been a long potty here.
It'll be a late
Imagine
night,
if we
eh?
did the mailbag.
It's 50.
I think we got 50 questions. We would have gone for 3.5 hours this one. So we'll wrap it up here. It's been a monster episode. We talked about our rounds. We did a rookie data dump, trade targets with the tier list, trash or treasure, strategy, talk through our trades, sneak peek into my side, and the captain's corner. 2 hours, 10 minutes. Feels like we've done it justice. Boys, do you have anything you want to leave as final words?
Well, no, just want to say great job, boys. There was so much to get through, but it seems like it's one of those rounds where so many people are undecided about what to do. There's rookie carnage. There's the strategy we've talked about downgrading your primos. There is so much going on at the moment. I think we needed a good 2 hours and 10 minutes to get through everything. Hopefully we covered all the big topics for the week. As you mentioned, mate, we'll do our best to get the mailbag out ASAP. Don't know who will actually be involved in the mailbag video, see who's available, but we'll definitely get that one out. And I'll tell you what, most exciting thing for me is the upcoming video that you two lads are going to put together with some very nice pack openings. I can tell Rossco's been sitting there, just the legs have been moving around. He cannot wait to get into these packs. I can tell you. I could see him just moving around, getting right ready to go with the game day squad opening. So, yeah, boys, really looking forward to that, and exciting times, as well as lots of bloody carnage at the moment.
Yeah.
Spillsy. Now, before we go, I took it very lightly on you after Sunday night. No drive-bys about the mighty baggers getting up.
Yes,
at all.
You can't cop it when you lose.
Well, look,
That's just
the
a
norm
normal
is that we
Carlton,
do
like
lose.
supporter thing. Usually, like
Do you know what? I'll just
can't
give a
take
quick
it.
story. So I'm living in the cheer squad area. We got the standing crowd behind us, and they're just a bunch of Essendon fans, and they're starting to chant like "We hate Carlton," just like out of nowhere. Like we're just playing Carlton,
Yeah,
like,
that's.
after goals and stuff. They got the "We hate Carlton" going. We're like, when we
Do you
won,
want to? Do you boys
everyone
want to hear
turned
a?
back towards the standing areas, like, and we sent the "We hate Essendon" back the other way.
Do you
Had to.
boys
Yeah,
want
mate.
to hear
You
a
have to.
really
Yeah.
interesting take from myself?
All right.
So I'm an Essendon supporter. I try to be as level-headed, like I can be passionate, like any other supporter.
Yeah.
But I can firmly say that Essendon supporters are the worst supporters in the
I agree.
AFL. I reckon they're the
agree.
worst.
Giving his own mob a whack.
Like they are. We are
Delusional.
terrible. I mean, you were there. I took you to a game against North. I mean, you sat
Oh,
around him. They were giving it to Nick Martin all day. Like, what has he done? I
And-
mean,
and
we are
poor
just the
Davey.
worst.
Davey wasn't
Yeah,
even playing, and he was copping the most abuse out of anyone.
They're the worst. I know. It's.
Could not believe it. I'm like, where is
So, look,
Davey? He's
I'm
not doing
with you
anything
there.
because the
I'm
bloke
with
hasn't
you
been
there.
selected. Crikey.
All right,
I know.
boys. I know that this is off topic, but every team has the whipping boys. When you lose, they get whipped. When you win, they don't get any credit whatsoever. I need your club's biggest whipping boy. Our one would have been Lewis Young when he was playing.
Oh, this is
He-
easy as. This is
He couldn't
easy.
get. This is go on, Ross.
Ryan
Lewis Young.
Burns. It's
Ryan Burns.
Really?
Spillsy.
Ryan
Yeah.
Burns.
Ryan
Yeah.
Burns.
Nah, seriously.
I was just thinking the
harsh.
same thing there.
Every time we lose,
You'd
it's
walk
always-
you'd walk past Ryan Burns in the street and think he works at the local Safeway. Seriously, that's my goodness. Poor
Surely it
Ryan
is Brad
Burns.
Hill. Brad Hill has to be a whipping boy. I haven't heard a single good comment about
Yeah,
Brad Hill.
he is as well.
Max King, maybe.
Max King.
Like- They give it to him all the time. Like,
All right, Spillsy. Essendon. Is it
yeah,
Jai
Ben
Menzies?
Mackay. Ben
Oh,
Mackay
Ben-
doesn't even come close.
I reckon
No,
Hobbs
it's a
is up
one-horse race.
Archie Perkins is a good one as well.
Yeah, he's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
There's been a pick
They
from,
are.
man. There's 10. I reckon. that
Brizzy's
could-
too good. They don't have whipping boys.
Do you know what? Currently, I'm really not too sure. But what I will say, in the past, it has been Ryan Lester, which is that disrespectful. It's
Froggy.
not funny, but it used to be, oh, Froggy's fault. He's no good. 1-year contracts, all the rest. He's playing still the best football of his life and the nicest human on an AFL list as well. So it was Froggy, a bit of Dan McStay, but no longer. There's not really whipping boy. It was Zach Bailey on the weekend after missing those goals. So right for the last game.
Awesome.
Good stuff,
Brilliant.
boys.
All right, boys. Well, that wraps that up. So, episode, what is it? Season 5, episode 14. Everything's gone off the rails.
Crazy.
But that wraps up season 5, episode 14 of the Supercoach Swordplay podcast. Thank you for sticking around. If you did stick around, put down in the comments who your team's whipping boys. I'd love to know, just because every team has that one player that is like communally just disrespected sort of thing. Hope you guys got a lot out of these out of this video, especially with your trades. We're going to answer your mailbag hopefully for upload tomorrow, but we'll try to get to it as soon as possible. Take care, guys. Good luck this week, and we'll see you to start round 15. Cheers
Cheers, boys.
Guys.